So we have covered, we started with overview of National GHG accounting framework in last lecture, module 2, part 1. And then we started with core component of Paris Agreement, and we looked into US EPA, Greenhouse Gas Reporting Program, along with the European Union ETS program, which is European Emission Trading Program. We also looked into India Carbon Offset Program. Now, all of you has done a good research there. I will unmute few of you at the end. You need to just let me know what did you write and what did you understood about it. If there is a confusion or gap in the understanding, I will try to fill it up. But you have to be there till the end because today I want to cover the module 2 completely. So tomorrow when we start with the scope 3 calculations. Clear? We have also looked into Tesla case and how Tesla is really capitalizing on ETAs and EPA GHGRP program and making a profitable business for themselves. After this, we started looking into international GHG accounting framework, where we compared with greenhouse gas emission with ISO 1464. We also looked into ISO 1425, which is for LCA, ISO 14067, which is for project LCA, etc. So we looked into PAS 2050, which is a BSI standard, as well as project and product standards under ISO. We also compared the GHG protocol with ISO. The commonality we understood was a scope, component, and global use. And the differentiation matrix was origin, verification, flexibility, application, and certification. So these were the 5 areas which we covered. Then we looked into ISO 14000 series on environment. We have covered 14004, 14006, 14015, 14020, 31, 40, 50, 63, and 64. And we understood that key concept in all of those, which are critical environmental series ISO standard, you have to understand the Plan, Do, Study, Act, PDSA cycle, right? That's how they differentiate. And that is a critical element of ISO standard. Then we went into inside ISO 14064 greenhouse gases. We looked into 14064-1, where we have said that it applies to entire organization, while 14064 applies to a project. Okay. So whenever people ask you ISO 14064 is standard for projects, right? Which could be your even carbon reduction project. Like in GHG protocol, always remember, whenever somebody will say project reduction program, then you are understanding it's a carbon removal program. Okay. You have to be careful about carbon removal program, which comes under GHG independent strategy of 202. Actually, 202 is the number in GHG protocol. But here we are talking about 14064-2. Clear? Project and the organization. Organization means my whole organization, how much carbon I am emitting. Project, then I am targeting that how I can control my carbon emission. Okay. And that's what we'll look into. Now, there is another standard, which is ISO 14064-3. That standard is basically a guideline for verification and validation of project proposition. That's what we understood last time. And then there is an independent ISO standard, which is 14067, that applies to partial footprinting of the product or the company and operation or asset, or complete life cycle footprinting of that particular stuff. And with that, we close the 14064 understanding. Once that got completed, yesterday we started with GHG protocol understanding. And I think where we have stopped last time, correct? Where we started looking into what exactly is greenhouse gas protocol framework is, and how we can get master to it, so that any calculation comes tomorrow, we will be doing. So today class will be mostly project oriented. You will be doing calculations. You can do parallelly when I am doing it, or you can support me while I am filling the data. Are you with me? So you have to do some calculation, case study. So today class will be completely upside down. Yeah. A lot of theory will be there because today is the last session of module 2, but still you will be doing a lot of case studies. So keep yourself fresh, handy, keep a coffee mug along with you so that you can cruise along. Let's start with next part. What is greenhouse gas framework? So first of all, we have said several times. Now let me repeat it for the sake of repeating it, so we have a concept from bottom up. GHG protocol actually got originated in 1998. A report by World Resource Institute, which is WRI, and World Business Council for Sustainable Development, which is WBCSD. WBCSD. So BCA, right? WBCSD. These two organizations has published a report in 1998 called Safe Climate and Sound Business. So they have a purpose here saying climate has to be safe, where we can operate well, and business remains sound in this environment. That report actually is known today as greenhouse gas framework. Are you with me? Like we learn in GRI, you remember, Ravi, right? When we were doing the GRI, we started with Brundtland Commission, right? That
Yeah,
commission
correct.
was originated by UNFCCC. And they published also a report in 1987, and that report was Our Common Future, correct?
Correct.
That is how here the book which got published was Safe Climate and Sound Business. Will you remember that?
Yeah, I'll just note down.
Yeah, please, everyone, please note it down, including Bala, Shivangi, all of you. Yeah, this is a key word, and we should not forget. Now, this report identified the need to standardize the greenhouse gas emission measurement. Okay, this book has established that. The report was a collaborative effort of WRI and WBC CSD and other corporate partner. Now, here is one more word I'm going to use. Be careful about it, because whenever there is a private company is involved in development of a global framework, people raise their eyebrow. But I don't know why people have not raised the eyebrow when British Petroleum and General Motor has contributed and put some sponsorship to this book. Are you with me? So it was not sponsored by United Nations. Later on, United Nations has adopted it. Are you with me? So when the development has happened, the safe climate and sound business, that's why nobody talks about this book even. Why? Because this book was sponsored by British Petroleum and General Motor, and both were the leader carbon emitting companies based out of USA. Means one is of course UK and another is USA. How many of you have understood the game? Yeah, that's why nobody talks about that report. But
So
we
it was sponsored by the BP and
BP and General Motors, the
General
car
Motors.
manufacturing company. Okay. However, the intent might be same link. I don't know how people are not getting it. It's the same link every time. Sivangi, can you put it in the group? It's the same link. Possible?
Yes, sir, I'll do that.
Okay. So greenhouse gas emission framework is coming from that background. Now, what was the purpose of this GHG protocol? The purpose was accounting, reporting, and measurement. Remember that. ARM, ARM, right? So GHG protocol purpose is the arm, creating arm which can give muscle and power to sustainability initiative. You got the acronym, right? Will you forget that? The purpose of GHG protocol is accounting, reporting, and management, giving arm, right? Key points are here that there are 6 major standards which was developed by GHG protocol over a period of time. Okay, 6 major standards and 7 sector standard. Now one more standard has come. So total of 14 standard has been done, but officially they still say 6 major standards and 7 sector standards. So GHG protocol also addresses sector specific requirement. Like GRI has 4 sectors, right? Covered: agriculture, oil and gas, etc. Similarly, GHG protocol, it is how many of those?
6 major standards and 7 sectors.
Major standard and 7 sector standard instead of 4 sector standard GRI. That is why people love this protocol. Clear? Now, the accounting, reporting, and management, which is the purpose, the arm is the purpose, right? Arm is the purpose. A for accounting, R for reporting, and M for management. I will give you 3 anecdotes today, not anecdotes, acronyms today. Make sure that you write it, because everything you can link it by these 3 acronyms, which I will give you today. Clear? The first one is ARM. The arm of greenhouse gas is to show the muscle and power so that sustainability initiative becomes stronger and powerful. Are you with me? Need of a consistent measurement system has asked a framework, which is the greenhouse gas framework, and which everybody likes about. Clear? Okay. So we take Ravi's as well. So never forget arm. Yeah, tell me what is the full form of arm? Anyone? Anyone? Quick, quick. What is the full form of R?
So it's accounting, management, and reporting.
This is the purpose of GHG protocol. Will you forget that?
No.
Never, because the arm is very important part for sustainability development, right? And this arm is which initiative? Greenhouse gas framework initiative purpose. Clear? Now, this ensures that credibility and comparability. So I can compare two different reports if I have this arm handy with me, or this arm is strong, then only I can create a credible ESG report or sustainability report and allow people to compare this company with another company or another initiative. Clear? Now, key component of this protocol is three. First is emission calculation. So you have to calculate the emission, okay? That how much a company, organization is emitting, or project is emitting, or product is emitting. Carbon emission we are talking. Second is data verification. This protocol also enables people. Otherwise, what is the point? Yesterday we were debating, right? ISO has the verification and certification authority. GHG doesn't have. But GHG protocol establishes a way the data is verified. If the data is not verified, you are not right person. That's what the point is. Accuracy and reliability of emission data becomes the critical portion here. And the last but not least, the component of this protocol is reporting itself, where it establishes a way that you can communicate your emission information in a manner which is justifiable. Now, how many of you have seen the template for GHG protocol reporting? How many of you have seen it?
Yeah, I just glanced through it.
That's the way you should communicate your findings. If you have seen if you have glanced through it, you must have seen there are different tables, different structure. Yeah, where you key in the data in order to become reliable.
But
Clear?
even that IFRS was also there. So as a part of,
IFRS S2 is there, which also now has agreed and emphasis that people should have both. Yeah, uh, both data. Which data? Two data. Data number one will be scope 1 and 2, and data number 2 will be scope 3. And that's why we have also provided you additional document, which is IFRS S1 and S2 document.
is
Okay.
to, yeah, correct.
Okay. So now let's see what are those different documents which we have at our disposal. Okay. Let's see that. The first one is corporate level GHG accounting. The different types of GHG accounting standard, it starts with corporate level GHG accounting standard. Now, one of that book is already with you, which is scope 1 and 2 calculation toolkit or guidebook, also known as revised version of corporate level GHG mission. That's the book number 1 on right hand side. You can see it is standing. Next to that, in left hand side, the first book is for corporate value chain or scope 3 accounting book, guidebook. It's an independent book. I will send you tomorrow morning or maybe tonight itself. Yesterday I got exhausted, so I could not send you in the night. But today or tomorrow, you will definitely have this booklet as well. So I believe now you have already covered the first book, which is 100 pages. And then tonight or tomorrow morning also, I will tell you what to look into the book so that it will enable you to start developing mitigation strategy, which is our end game. End game is not accounting. End game is mitigation strategy development. Now, to track overall company emission across all operations, corporate level GHG accountant plays a major role. So corporate level GHG accounting requires two booklets. One is the basic guideline book for the corporate and organization scope 1 and 2 emission reporting, and second booklet is specially designed for scope 3 reporting, right? Emissions are generally categorized in scope 1, 2, and 3 based on the organization boundary. Sorry, operational boundary. They are divided into scope 1, 2, and 3. Now, the quantification of total emission to help companies manage their carbon footprint happens through corporate level GHG emission. Okay, what is the purpose here? To basically quantify the total emission of the company. Okay, and how that happens? Through booklet. Clear? Now, second one is product level GHG accounting.
So this last time you were speaking about inventory, right? So you have shared one template also. So like, is this also the same as this, or is it different?
GHG inventory, right? That is the end. Means at the end of the day, you need to do an inventory of GHG, greenhouse gases. To calculate it, you need these books.
Okay, okay.
And the corporate level GHG accounting book I have summarized into 5 steps, which again I will repeat it today. So don't worry. Okay. There are 5 principles and 5 steps. These you to combine and you will have a accuracy, transparency, and accountability into your GHG accounting. Benefit kya hoga? You will get the accurate reporting. You will get the transparency in your report and a thoroughness in your report. For those, you need 5 principles and 5 steps, which is ESGPro 5-step method. Are you with me?
Perfect. Yeah.
Okay. Now, second is product level. Product level is in any product. Yesterday I shown you, right? SanDisk SSD drive. Now, similarly, mobile, Apple. Today, by the way, tomorrow I will also giving you, tomorrow there will be little more material to you. Okay. So be careful. We will give you a Apple ka white paper that how they have planned their carbon emission mitigation. It's a complete white paper. Okay. So you guys are blessed. You will be getting that, which is their source document on which they have developed their sustainability report. So I will share that tomorrow with you. So what they have done there is they have calculated each of their production unit or products carbon footprint, CFP. You remember it was there in ISO standard as well. Which standard talks about that? 14,064.
64. Yeah.
67. 14,067 is CFP, carbon footprinting ISO standard. Clear? So that is how in GHG protocol also you have an independent booklet called product level GHG accounting, which quantifies the product level life cycle. Complete LCA of the product gets accounted here. Okay. It doesn't talk about the other stuff. It only talks about the product for which I am trying to find out how much carbon footprint this product is creating. So it provides a product carbon footprint, also known as life cycle emission of that product. It enables businesses, group businesses like Google, Alphabet, etc., so that they can understand which of their service or product is creating maximum amount of carbon or doing carbon emission, maximum amount, right? Once they will know, they will try to control that product business cycle. Are you with me? So you can you can channel your focus and effort toward that product which is consuming lot of carbon dioxide or emitting lot of carbon dioxide, right? So that is the product level GHG accounting. And then last one is project level GHG accounting. Now for that ISO has a parallel ISO standard. Which is that standard? Project level GHG accounting standard. 14,000?
64.2.
Correct. Absolutely. So that second one is covered here as an independent booklet again. Okay. Now you have to understand project. What do you understand by project? First of all, Ravi, tell me.
Project means something you'll have some kind of timelines. So, say example, we have this IT related project. We have project related to maybe like construction of buildings. So it is something which is time consuming.
Anybody else wants to give a try?
It is basically a carbon removal project
Correct. It is a
or carbon
specific
offset
to
project.
the removal. Absolutely correct. It is a specific to the carbon removal projects where actually you are doing positive, right? You are doing positive effort. To calculate that, project level GHG accounting is essential, which we have learned. Okay. Be careful on these two standards. 14,064 and 2 standard basically in ISO covers this part, and in GHG accounting it has a separate booklet which you need to refer, right? What is the objective of the standard? We have learned ARM, but just to define that ARM, which is accountability, ARM, accountability,
Reporting and management.
reporting and management. So basically, this particular arms helps company to prepare a true and fair account of emission. And what is very critical here? You know, fair valuation, right? You must have heard, Ravi, fair valuation, right? It's a
Exactly.
completely different connotation. That same connotation, you have to use it here. You want to be true, but you also want to be fair with your company. And that is why it is a reasonable assurance kind of stuff. It doesn't specify that you are exactly. So that is why people are still allowed to go and do the retrospective change.
Hmm.
You have seen that, right? In Unilever case. Second objective is to simplify and reduce the cost. Second objective is to simplify and reduce the cost of compiling an inventory. Okay. The second purpose of GHG accounting is to simplify all the calculation. I do not want a mess, complex calculation. That's why I want to follow GHG accounting because it enables me to do that. And the moment it is simpler, the cost of accounting will go down. Correct? If it is very complex, then you have to deploy a bigger team. Then what team actually is required to be operated. And thereby, this is another advantage. Third advantage, with GHG protocol themselves writes it that it should and it is developed to assist and facilitate businesses and participation of businesses in GHG program. So you should not be just doing for your own self, but basically you are creating a momentum that you are reporting on GHG, so other people want to compare with you. So they will also report on GHG accounting or protocol. Are you with me? So this is another third purpose. And of course, using GHG protocol with consistency and transparency in your accounting, reporting, and M for ARM, M is for ARM we have learned today. Any thought?
Management.
Management of carbon emission. Clear? This is how you should remember the carbon accounting protocol. Now, this protocol you have to also understand is a complementary stuff. It is a complementary of what? Complementary of a both standard. One standard can
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
There is a lot of background noises.
So-
Somebody is muted.
Good.
Yes, there was a lot of noises. I was also not able to hear you clearly.
Okay, so let's mute everyone. Let's mute ourselves. Good, very good. But next time, so please do it your own self. I need not to be telling that. Okay, so let's go. Next one. So we were talking about that this standard is complementary standard. Complementary to whom? Complementary to all three relevant standard. The project one, now you have understood, right? The project one, which is ISO 14064-2 standard, in GHG protocol, you have a completely different booklet for that. And which kind of project? Which kind of project we are talking about?
Carbon
Carbon
reduction.
removal.
Carbon removal projects, right? So somebody is doing forestry, preparing forestry, creating sink, right? Somebody is putting DAC, right? Which is carbon, absorption unit. all that kind of project and how much of it is, is capable to take the carbon emission in environment or capture and give us the benefit of it need to be reported, and that's the project standard. So all three standards are complementing to each other. That is what I'm trying to establish here. How that happened, of course, we will discuss over a period of time, but the graph, the photograph, the flow chart, which is marked in the red circle, specifies that. For example, product A, I want to do LCA of the product A. ISO में there is a standard. Which standard is that? Life cycle statement करना है या product का carbon footprinting करना है, CFP. Which standard I will be using? ISO में.
14,067.
Absolutely correct. Right? So that 67 we have in GHG protocol independent booklet.
ISO 14,067.
Correct, absolutely correct. And ISO 67 is comparable to product level GHG accounting booklet, which is in the center, purple color one, right? In GHG, you have a parallel similar booklet. Now that booklet is basically has a similar structure, then structure wise, yeah, recommendations are completely different. So structure wise, for example, if I am doing upstream scope 3 emission calculation under corporate accounting, corporate carbon accounting, corporate GHG accounting, I will be doing is upstream scope 3 emission calculation. That goes again to product A or level A emissions, which are primary there. Second is your own scope 1 and 2 emission. In product also, you have that green process line. You can see that. And then in the downstream, there are 3 steps, which again requires for product A life cycle assessment requirement. And that's why these are complementary to each other. For example, emission sources in scope 1 remains the direct on-site greenhouse gas emissions, which is happening through your company. में conveyor belt पे emission हो रहा है, in your DG set में emission हो रहा है, right? All that emission, stationary combustion, mobile combustion becomes the part of scope 1, right? And that also is part of life cycle assessment, consequential approach method requirement. Of course, we are not learning LCA here, but I'm just giving you a parlance, right? So product level का CFP करोगे आप, या which is a LCA of your product, या project का carbon removal approach करोगे, या आप corporate use करोगे. All three are complementary. Do not compete with each other. Actually, they complement to each other. Okay. So this is why that fundamental also should be very clear to you. Now, let's understand, people were debating, right? What is the goal it serves? The GHG inventory creation. Ravi, you were asking GHG inventory, right? So it's just a synonyms to GHG carbon accounting is creation of a GHG inventory, which is an asset for a company. That's why it is called GHG inventory. Now, to what kind of goal it serves? So it serves following 5 goals. First, it achieves the business goal by keeping core objective in play. And we just learned the core objectives, right? So those things helps us to achieve our business goal, being sustainable, being reasonable, not emitting too much of carbon dioxide in the environment, and providing a true and fair representation of the same. Clear? Second, it also enables me to manage the risk. If I am emitting too much carbon dioxide in some of the processes, I might be banned for doing the same in future. So it helps me to mitigate the risks. I will come to know today itself and I will start working on it. Till the time government is silent about it, I will keep. And now government is active. What I am hearing is government is, even Indian government is active, right? Diamond members knows that there is a publication happened recently. So such kind of risk I will start controlling by measuring accurately carbon emission. Second is, that is second. Third is public reporting. So your stakeholder will get idea about your environmental initiatives very clearly, right? Because you are transparent on this regard, along with you are engaging your stakeholder. That's why that is the third benefit or goal which gets served by having a GHG inventory. Fourth one is participation in the GHG market. Once you know that you are planning to reduce your carbon emission and you reduce it much more than what is fixed in the market. I'm referring, by the way, somebody is asking me in chat box, which news? So I'm referring to a news where carbon credit market has been approved for 251 business units. 251 business units, which includes specifically steel and cement factory in India, aluminium factory in India. It has just come in, right? Watch that news. That news gives you that market is now, carbon credit market is now maturing. Are you with me? Okay. So that is the one of those benefit. And then once you have those carbon credit, you can participate in GHG market, right? And get some more money, like the case of Tesla, which we have discussed little earlier. And finally, you get a recognition of early action, that you are conscious about climate impact of your company operation, and you have taken enough action by accounting it and then by mitigating it, participating in GHG market, thereby you get a credit for it. One of the very good example here is the Google. Now, Google since 2015, they started in 2010, okay, where they promised to themselves that I will be net zero on a scope 2 emission. That was their first promise in 2010. The scope 2 emission is energy emission, right? So they promised to themselves that they will not have purchased electricity, and they target their net zero on that aspect. How they did it? They started with large scale renewable energy purchases. They started purchasing renewable energy at that point in time. By 2017 itself, they were able to match their 100% electricity requirement through renewable energy. In India also, there is one company which has committed in Gujarat. How many of you are knowing about it? Whoever is Diamond member, they are updated. So Woji had just posted, right? There is one city which is going to be completely carbon neutral on a scope 2. They will which
Is it Surat?
It is Amravati.
Very good. Amravati in Andhra Pradesh.
Andhra Pradesh.
So today's news is this, that whole city wants to be carbon neutral, specifically on a scope 2 emission. Same like Google, which they did it in 2010 they started, and by 2017 they were completely matching their energy requirement through renewable energy. Clear? They used wind and solar combination. They don't go only for solar, but they also used wind through long-term power purchase agreement, PPA. Again, note it down somewhere. PPA is one of those methods which generally companies uses for their scope 2 mitigation action. And why I'm telling you to note it down? Because in mitigation, all these notes will come handy to you. It will become a blessing to you, because immediately your mind will walk that, okay, let me use wind power, let me use solar power, let me put some more mix in that, and then mix it up and then present it to those companies who are not using it. Okay, so remember this, PPA is another method by which you can control your scope 2 emission, like Google did, right? So they use wind and solar, power through purchase power agreement, or power purchase agreement, PPA, and they focused on additionality. Okay, what is additionality? That not only they did the PPA, but they keep on adding or funding renewable projects. Because as you know, Microsoft, we saw, right? They started shifting everything to the third party, where Megha has put a reservation. Dr. Megha said why they are doing it, right? And I told him that either they will kill one man or they will kill 5 men, and that answer will keep changing because it's an AI world. Similarly, here these guys have understood this will be a problem. Today I am able to match it. Tomorrow again I will be exposed. So rather than getting exposed, I will use a focus called additionality. So that is inbuilt in their policy. In policy itself, they have put that they will keep on funding renewable projects all across world, not limited to one country, one jurisdiction, or one geography. By 2021, 67% of electricity was matched hourly with a clean energy process, not annually, over a period of time. So I bought some more if I'm not reaching my target, but they were able to do it hourly basis as well. Every hour, the demand was matched with the renewable energy purchased or managed through PPA agreements. Are you with me? Contracts over 7 gigawatts. Please understand, I'm talking about massive numbers here. 7 gigawatts. बिलियन, आप 9 जीरो इस पे लगाने का 7 के ऊपर. इतना kilowatt hour capacity they have added, not hour, actually kilowatt they have added as a capacity globally. And you won't believe, to create such a large power plant in India, you might require 1 year to create that, right? However, we are doing 100 gigawatts every year, but it is a massive amount which we are talking here. And they have added over a period of 20 years. By 2021, they had this. And they have avoided more than 10 million metric tons of carbon dioxide yearly, right? And they are reporting both location-based as well as market-based GHG method. Now, this is a specific method noted down in the scope 2 mitigation or calculation. We will be learning this. Are you with me? We will be learning what is the pro and what is the cons of, and today we will be doing it, which is location-based and market-based GHG accounting method for scope 2. And they have achieved their near zero scope 2 emission using market-based accounting. Raviji, I will take your question. I have decided today that let me cover something and then I will take the question. Otherwise, we get derailed. Yesterday, I have really struggled to complete even second module. So just allow me. Keep your question ready, just write it down and I will address it. Don't worry. Or write it in the chat box and I will address it 100%. I don't want you to be confused, but let me address it at the end because I have to cover a lot. And first I want to cover theory so we can work on the calculations. My target is you should start doing calculation from today. So GHG protocol, as I told you, is based on 2 fives. And that is why I have created a 5-step model. The reason was there is a principle also, which is 5. And here comes the second abbreviation of GHG accounting, where your life will rely. Why I'm saying? Because these 5 principle converted into acronym will be used whenever and wherever you are talking about GHG protocol. What is that? That is RCC traveling allowance. Now, this time we don't have somebody from IRCTC. Last time, in last batch, we had a general manager of IRCTC, Rajni Hasija ji. Ravi, you know, right? So she was there. So we for her, it becomes very easy. Why? Because in railway, there are a change happening right now. They are replacing the wooden. Have you seen the railroad, right? Railroad, there is a steel rails on the wooden plank. Earlier, now they are changing that with RCC, which is reinforced cement concrete based slabs. They are changing it with that. If you have seen railway, everybody, how many of you have seen railway tracks and railway in your life? Because if you live in a city where railway is there, definitely you must have seen. In India, if you don't have seen, then it's very difficult. How many have seen? Say yes in the chat box. So I know I'm talking to relatable people, not alien. Okay, Sivangi has seen it. Kailash has seen it. Wonderful. Ravi also has seen it, of course. Big yes, he is giving Ravish, Bala, Vijay, okay, everybody has seen it. So I'm not talking to aliens here. So that is RCC. Okay, in railway, RCC is a major stuff. And when you travel in railway, when your company gives you travel allowance, that's the acronym for these 5 principles which I am going to use. Those 5 principles, and in sequence these are. Starting with relevance. GHG protocol says that whatever report you are preparing or calculating, make sure that you are doing justice to it in the form of these 5 principles. If these 5 principles are not matched with any statement you are making in your report, you are not in compliance with GHG protocol. Which are those 5 particular principles? These are RCC traveling allowance, reinforced cement concrete traveling allowance, RCC ka plinth, train which you are using because your company has given TADA, right? That's a common word everybody use. So RCC TA. Now, first one is relevance. First one is what? Relevance. Now, before I go there, let me also cover that why these 5 guiding principles, why there are 5 guiding principles. They are for the for the purpose to guide our organization to report its emission accurately, transparently, and fairly. Fairly is the word today I have added in the ARM. After we learn the acronym ARM, I have added one more term, that GHG protocol focus on fair reporting. That's why they are not stringent. They want you to report fairly. Same like in financial parlance, we have fair valuation. How many of you know there is a complete definition for fair valuation under different codes of Indian Companies Act, every act, IFRS, everybody defines that fair valuation. Similarly, in GHG protocol, fairly is a critical one. And that is why these 5 specific principles will help you to achieve the same, right? Which is relevance, completeness, consistency, transparency, and accuracy. Transparency and accuracy, traveling allowance. Relevance are C for completeness, then consistency, and then transparency and accuracy. Every statement which you will be making going forward has to match to this, and then only you will say that I am aligned with global standardization. So you compare me now to any company in Europe, America, or Japan, and you will find my information is completely relatable to those companies. Yeah. Second, sector-wide applicability is there. So these 5 principles cannot change. Even though there are 7 different booklets under GHG protocol for each of different sectors, still this 5 principle will remain the same. Clear? Any doubt? Any doubt here?
No.
Anyone?
It's clear.
Okay, somebody has remembered. Oh, that's good. Somnath is saying that ISO 14064 has RCC 80. And here we have TA. Okay, very good. Very good. So you have both principles now under your control.
It is called RC cat.
RC cat. Okay. Okay. Nice. Nice. RC cat. And here we are saying RCC traveling allowance.
Traveling
Yeah.
allowance.
So now nobody will forget that even for okay, let me put it for everyone to look into. Right now you are sending it to me, so I will put it for everyone. Remember this for ISO 14064. So both is completed for you guys. One more standard you got free of cost. What else you need? Good. Thank you, Somnath. Okay. So
This is
now,
the RC cat is the same thing, right?
right. It's the
It's
same.
just a different acronym. So
Absolutely. Okay, now let's go to relevance. Relevance. Now, relevance, okay, good point Kailash is making, even though I didn't want to stop, but Somnath just put that RCC ka full form in the chat, in our WhatsApp chat. So nobody will ask question here, they will ask you. Okay, now principle number 1, which is relevance. Relevance, you have to remember 3 things. The first thing is any GHG inventory you do, any activity you want to calculate how much greenhouse gas that activity has produced. Like I am using cycle to come to my office. I am cycling to come to office. In that case, how much of carbon dioxide I have emitted? None, right? Basically, I have not burned any fossil fuel other than my blood and fat, carbohydrates. Maybe there will be some carbon emission, I don't know. But yes, if I am doing cycling and coming to my office, I need to make sure that GHG calculation here must contain a information which is internal and external users requires. So I have done cycling and I have not clarified that it is battery operated, it is paddling operated. Then how the internal people who are interested in this data or external people who are interested in the data can establish whether you have done any carbon removal project or not. You burn your blood, you burn your fat, but did you added something to company scope 3 emission? This will be definitely a scope 3 emission, employee commute, right? So scope 3 emission, did you add anything? That's what people will judge. Clear? And thereby relevance means that people would relate with that data. So any GHG inventory you are preparing, you make sure that information is relatable by the internal and external use. And what is that relativeness? Is that you are writing very clearly, it's a paddling which I am doing on the cycle, or it is battery which I am using. Because battery may, even though battery is neutral, but you require it to charge, right? In your house. So that electricity, have you accounted or not? People are interested to know. And that is called relevance. To ensure that GHG data is relevant to the decision maker, which can be internal and external, both, right? They need relevance. Inventory boundary should consider the company characteristics. Here, you have to make sure to remain relevant. The boundary which you are creating, and we are going to learn boundary immediately after principle, the 5 step. The first step is the boundary creation, where you will be doing calculation. So when you are doing that, you make sure that you understand which kind of company I'm talking about. Is this company in cloud, or is this company on earth? Is this company is a location based, or is it a multinational? Right? So that boundary of inventory will be decided by the organization boundary and the characteristics of that company. Okay. Second, stakeholder need. You have to make sure that relevance can only come in play because it is expectation, right? That you should also disclose the data which is related to that vehicle. You cannot just say, I'm coming by public transport. Which public transport, brother, sister? You have to tell me which public transport, because each public transport has a different emission factor. If you are taking flight to come, like a lady in Malaysia is doing every day to go to her flight operations, she is taking a flight because her kid is young, right?
Yeah.
So she is taking flight. How much emissions she must be doing? Why can't she shift to that location? I'm just unreasonable to ask that. She has her own problem. It's a news, but I'm just saying that she can shift with her kids, her family, right? If the job is so important to her, why can't she shift, right? And she will be near to her kid as well. Say if the flight operation is stopped, and it has stopped in 2024 for 1 day, 1.5 day. How many of you remember that story? And I was stuck in that traveling. I went to Raipur and I was stuck there because there was no flight out from Raipur. And to go to take a flight, actually, I traveled by car to Hyderabad, which is 12 hours from there. And then I took my flight and came back. So point here is, it is a possibility one day she will be stuck. And that case, the kid will require her, right? So I don't know what justification people make sometimes, but point here is stakeholder need has to be understood. That kids need to be reflected in the GHG inventory. That look, she is coming by train because her house is well connected by metro. Yeah. And metro consumes less carbon dioxide or emits less carbon dioxide. And that's why she's addressing that need as well. Because why we have to be relevant, also understand, then only your company can decide mitigation action properly. अगर मुझे मालूम होगा कि वो लेडी आ रही है फ्लाइट से and I have to do a mitigation factor under scope 3, I will first talk to her. I will sit with her, try to understand her real problem, try to address it so that my scope 3 emission goes down. And people does that, by the way. Huh? It's not I'm just not telling you the schemy thing. It happens. A lot of company has started taking action on their employee commute. And that is one topic out of 15 categories in scope 3. Okay, let's go next. So activity data here has to be relevant. It should reflect it is coming from DG set, HABAC, electricity consumption, all that has to be clearly identified and that data has to be relevant, right? For example, fuel specific, gas specific, regional specific, time specific data has to have meta tags. So any data should not be just plain data. That is cycling. Cycling from where to where? Which location to which location? Do we have some alternatives there? Or this is the best alternatives you should have? Kind of a stuff is required. And that's why metadata has to be there. And here, this also helps you to kill a major problem in carbon accounting or ESG initiatives. You know what is the major problem of carbon accounting or or ESG initiative altogether? Data. Data collection will become easier if you put that metadata considering your stakeholder need, company characteristics, organizational structure, business context, and relationship. Are you with me? Right? So that's the Principle number 1, relevance, and it, put a abbreviation of R in RCC plinth or RCC plates.
So where does the metadata go exactly? Just asking you.
In the data which you will provide to your provider, to your collector, GHG. You are the GHG accounting guy, right?
Yeah.
You collect the data, you make sure that people provides you the metadata.
So usually it'll be like in Excel format itself, or if it's software, then there'll be a space for it.
Any format you can use. I never said that you
Okay.
should use Excel or
No, just okay. Just wanted to confirm.
you write it down, doesn't matter.
No, because usually on the websites and
Meta
everything,
is a
that
word
is
used. I understand where you are asking, but that's a silly question to ask because that has no relevance. I'm saying metadata, right? Metadata, you put it in software, you put it in Excel, you just write it down. Doesn't matter.
It's
But
just about it. Okay.
additional data, that's what it means. Clear?
Okay.
Next question, next principle is completeness in RCC. The next principle is completeness. What it means? That make a good faith effort to provide complete, accurate, consistent accounting of emission. And here the FAIR, which I started today's session with, whoever has missed, please watch the video, even though 5 minutes, watch the video, that make a good faith so that people can say you are doing a fair representation of your accounting. Are you with me? So good faith is the alternative word used under completeness, only in completeness, that you have taken enough effort, right, to provide a complete, accurate and consistent data. It doesn't mean you are giving accurate data. Are you with me, guys? So कल ऐसा नहीं जान दे देना है accurate data नहीं आ रहा है मेरे पास. Don't kill yourself because you are not getting accurate data. Why? Because GHG protocol already has given you that instrument in your hand, which is good faith effort, right? And that will ensure the coverage of emission fully with an exclusion clearly justified. Good faith का मतलब क्या हुआ? अगर नहीं मालूम है, like you don't know whether you should use Excel sheet or software, write it there. That look, I have not used software. I'm excluding software here, or I'm excluding Excel sheet here. I have only software to work with, like in your case, right? You had a company interview, Kailash, where they were asking, I want to work you in software industry. So in that case, you have to say that I'm excluding Excel sheet. I'm excluding metadata even, but be reasonable with that. Okay. That should not be saying that you do not want to do, that's why you're excluding it. That also should not be case. But if you are doing or putting any exclusion, justify it, right? And here, account for all emission within the inventory boundary. Make sure that you are calculating everything. And if some emission estimate are insufficient, which you felt your own self, document is not available, then justify. अब हुआ क्या कि वो एम्प्लॉय ने पूरे साल 3 मोड ऑफ ट्रांसपोर्ट यूज किया. ट्रेन से आया, मेट्रो से आया, मीन्स मेट्रो ट्रेन जो भी आपके सिटी में हो, वो बस से आया, और समटाइम्स सीटों का ऑटो और कार एज वेल, राइट? अब ट्रेन वाला तो आई कैन एस्टिमेट कि लुक, दिस इज द रूट, शी विल बी टेकिंग दिस रूट, दिस इज द कैलकुलेशन. Bus also I can estimate, there are so many buses stop from her house to here, so she is taking this route, this is the emission calculation. ऑटो का कैसे करें? ऑटो कहां से कहां लिया उसने वो भी नहीं मालूम है, right? And if she is not using app, then definitely I don't know how much of kilometers she has taken a ride off. Now these kind of situation state that 20% of my population is using auto 10% of time, and hence I take 5% additional emission on this ground. I know it is not accurate. I know I am not justifying my effort, but what I am doing, I am using the fair, complete method. That's the principle number 2. Principle number 2, this is a very good example, and this will be your next exercise for tomorrow. I want you to read this book. This is not a book, it's a white paper prepared for Apple. It was prepared for Apple. Now Apple has used this and they are now reporting basis of this white paper. But I want you to read the source. Why? So you can understand the reasoning behind carbon mitigation program of Apple. कि उन्होंने कैसे develop करा था, when they were developing, what all challenges they saw and how they addressed it when they were talking about GHG accounting, specifically principle number 2. They wanted to produce a complete data they have used this method, which is a white paper, approximately 60 page ka hai document. You can skim through, okay? But definitely read that document, which will be provided after the class or tomorrow morning, right? So maintaining the completeness has enabled Apple to today to apply mitigation actions so that Apple Watch, okay, I don't have right now. Apple Watch, one of the series is completely carbon neutral. Apple Watch has gone, one of their product is completely carbon neutral today. And they want to go for certain iPhone as well very soon, right? So the process which they did, in order to match these 5 principles, you need to read in that particular white paper, which I will be supplying to you. Clear? Here, while they have provided data, they also knew that it is a challenging stuff. So they were knowing that it was a, yes, they will be knowing that they might not have been doing since the start accurately, which was 2015. This white paper was initiated, and 2022, they published it. Okay, that what all they have done to achieve completeness, consistency, relevance, transparency, and accuracy in the data is listed there. So reading one report will give you this principal clarity. Or next time when you will do consulting or working in your company, this will become your mindset. Okay, that's why I'm saying read it, right? So gross emission they have always talked about, and this is those graph of gross emission and how they are trying to control. And that's why you will see there is a massive improvement on year one when they started recording the data, which was 2015. Massive reporting, massive improvement. How many of you can recognize that? 2015 say 16 May, there was a massive reduction, and then it is gradually going down. However, they have a green line which they want to follow eventually and go to carbon neutrality. How they will do it? By buying carbon credit, the bottom ones, similar like what we have seen in Microsoft. Are you with me? This is how completeness work, that you remain complete. Whatever data method you have used, you keep on doing it consistently. And here I introduce to you consistency as principle number 3. What you have to do in consistency? Compare the data which need to be tracked, emission over a period of time. How you can do that in tracking? By consistently applying following 3 points. First, accounting approach. So whatever approach I have decided, for example, scope 2, I have decided I will do market-based. Maintain it. Accounting approach, maintain it. Right? For scope 2, I will not use location-based. I will only use market-based. Your decision. You can take it. GHG protocol allows you, but maintain it throughout the process. Second, inventory boundary. So first time I have taken only one company. Second time, I want to take my subsidiary as well, because they are also very carbon neutral. Actually, they are carbon positive. Let me add them. I will get benefit in front of my ESG rating providers. Why I should not do it? He can tell you. But you as a GHG accountant need to explain to him, first of all, I am going to contravene the consistency principle of GHG accounting, which will require you to change your report, ESG report, not right now, but retrospectively. Might be you need to change your baseline. And that all demand a stakeholder consent, and which will be difficult for you. So company might allow you, okay, follow what you are following. Third one. So 2, we have understood accounting approach, follow consistent. Second, inventory boundary, don't change it. Third, calculation methodology. For example, if I am using DEFRA emission factors for aluminum plant in year 1, second year, I cannot say Subodh has told me best one is CEW. Let me adopt that. You can always adopt it. But again, explanation goes the same, that I am contravening principle number 3, completeness, consistency. Principle number 3 is consistency. Principle number 4, which is traveling allowance T, is transparency, is means that you will be disclosing emission information clearly. What do you mean by clearly? That, first of all, that whatever number I am using, I am giving explanation to that number. Second, factually and neutrally. Second is factual data, जो साइट पे हुआ है वही रिपोर्ट कर रहा हूं, इमेजिनेशन नहीं डाल रहा हूं. And I am doing as a neutral party. Even though you are an employee of the company, but you have to establish a fact that this data is transparent. And transparency के 3 पिलर है. Pillar number 1, clear. Data has to be clear. Vague data आप नहीं दे सकते हो. Give it is between 2 to 4. You can't give that. Okay? Either say 2 or 4. And if you are a very neutral person, you will say 3. Right? Because you do not record data on real-time basis, you can take that flexibility, but make it factual. Whatever data is, that data anybody wants to check, he can check it. That's the factual. And it should be independent. You are not influenced. नहीं, लास्ट ईयर तो बहुत कम इमिशन हुआ था, इस साल कैसे बढ़ सकता है, मेरे कैलकुलेशन में प्रॉब्लम है, लेट मी टेक व्हाट इज लोएस्ट पॉसिबल. आप न्यूट्रल नहीं हो. You will represent the data neutrally, and then you go and check if I made a mistake. This maintaining of clear documentation and creating archives will give the auditor an audit trail. Even though there is no audit required, but you create that trail. That is what is required. Disclose and justify any exclusion if you are doing, which is common again, and I'm repeating myself, in principle number 4, where I have said other than principle number 4 that you have to put exclusion very clearly. Tell me. Which principle exclusion has to be talked about apart from principle 4? Focus. कैलाश बताइए, आप बताइए, चलिए.
I didn't get the full question. I was little caught up. Like you want
चलिए, आपको नहीं पता चला तो आप क्या फोकस कर रहे हैं?
Completeness.
complete. I was going to say.
Correct.
Is it completeness? Yeah.
Absolutely. Where if you are doing exclusion, you have to mention it here. Otherwise, you will be missing the point of transparency. The last one is accuracy, where the data should be credible enough, right? If it is expenditure data, I'm taking from ERP. I'm not taking from supplier's book or his hand vouchers, right? I'm following the ERP. If ERP is only wrong, I'm wrong. It's okay. But I will have a credibility established through the audit trail again here for the use of decision making. Decision maker को कल ऐसा नहीं लगना चाहिए मैंने डेटा में कुछ तो किया है ब्लंडर. I do not have the credibility in data itself. Why? Because I have relied only on the voucher produced by my suppliers, my employees, etc. That will be disaster. Calculations should be systematically neither over nor under actual value. ठीक है, systematically ये wrong नहीं होना चाहिए. And the last one is any uncertainty should be reduced as far as practicable or predictability is possible. Right? कोई भी uncertainty in data है उसको हमें avoid करना है. नहीं मालूम है कि ये employee is coming from any means of transport or it is walking to office, don't report about him. Yeah, put in exclusion, just say that one person in my company, I could not assure how he is coming to office because he was not present when I was doing the audit. Give the clarification, close the matter, right? Accurately, activity data must be collected at least annually. Yeah, actual energy usage data such as from utility bills should be used to ensure precision in reporting. Clear? So that is the 5 principle which you should be aware about. Then comes 5-step model of ESGPro Mastery Institute. Okay, that's the part which we are starting today. So 5 principle, 5 steps. That's why you will never forget. If you match these 5, you will never forget creating a credible GHG inventory in your life. What is those 5 steps? The step number 1 is to define the boundaries. Okay, establish 2 kind of boundary. Boundary number 1 is organizational boundary. Which part of your organization will be included or excluded need to be clearly defined. Second in defining boundary is operational boundary. So organizational boundary through which part of organization I'm considering or not considering. Second, operational boundary. Decide which emission source direct or indirect. There are only two kind of emission: direct emission and indirect emission coming out of operational boundary. I'm including or excluding, need to be defined. If I'm excluding, like a scope 3, I'm not taking any value chain measurement. Define it. Unilever can do, why can't I? Right? However, IFRS S1 and S2, when Ravi came today, we were talking about it. Both of them requires you to report on a scope 3. So IFRS has already gone one step ahead. Anyway, it's European standard, UK based. So they are going towards the scope 3. They recommend that you should have a scope 3 reported accurately. But all other standards are still allowing you not to report a scope 3. So maintain the consistency. Otherwise, you will flout on the principle itself. So this is the step number 1, defining the boundary. Second is setting the reporting framework. So select the right framework which suits your industry and have enough information to collect on. Third is identify and collect data, which activity, again, apply all 5 principles and collect that data accurately, transparently. RCC, right? RCC, TA. Tell me, what was the R for? The relevant data.
Relevant.
Correct? Second, C is for?
Completeness.
Consistency.
Consistency and
Transparency,
Transparency,
accuracy.
accuracy.
Perfect, perfect. Good. So that's how you should identify and collect data. Fourth step is calculate the emission. And I'm going to go in detail of all this. Just I'm giving you a brief right now. Okay. Fourth step is to calculate that emission. Now, anyway, in the free session, you have seen calculation is not a rocket science. However, the nuances are important to understand. In calculation, selecting the relevant emission factor is the trick of the trade. If you understand that clearly, nobody can beat you in GHG accounting market. You will be unique personality and will be able to command your salary in excess of 16 lakh. Okay, so that's the differentiator, which is selecting the relevant emission factor for your operation. And once you have that emission factor, then calculate the whole carbon dioxide equivalent from your operation. Anyway, you have put the boundary, organization boundary and operation boundary, so it will become a piece of cake. But first 2 step is very critical for you to enable the last 3 step. So don't make a mistake in first 2 step, right? Because report and verify is anyway responsibility of person who is coming and looking into it, which can be your boss, which can be your stakeholder, which can be your third party auditor, right? They can look into your result, how you have presented it. You presented it with all the 5 principles, compiling the emission data appropriately and getting it verified is of course sample based. Somebody third party is doing, checking it for accuracy and audit trail. If you are able to establish this 5 step, your GHG inventory is ready, which you can use it for mitigation purposes or as a asset for your company. कोई doubt यहाँ पे? Anything which you have not understood? Of course, I have not gone in detail, which I will go now. So first step is setting operational boundary. To set the operational boundary, you have to define the boundaries, right? On 2 fronts. The front number 1 is organizational wide and front number 2 is operation wide. दोनों में डिफरेंस है, समझिएगा. ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में सारी एक्टिविटी आ जाती है. Even procuring the raw material is a part of that activity. Having subsidiaries part of that activity. Having franchises part of that activity. Having operation in different jurisdiction is part of organizational boundary. But when I'm talking about operational boundary, I am talking about my supply chain, my own operation, and my dependence on purchase electricity, steam power, which is scope 1 and 2, I'm just saying. But indirect or direct is what relates to operational boundary. Let's see that in motion. This is that motion which you should remember. What is that? Defining the boundary. Boundary of any GHG inventory, whenever you will start, can be set by 2 methods. It is a imaginary line. You have to understand that there is a Lakshman Rekha. Lakshman is putting around Sitaji's house in the jungle. So that imaginary line, there was no line, right? Ravan ke liye to it was very easy. He entered. So it was imaginary line, had a lot of powers. Similarly, this boundary has that Lakshman Rekha, which you as a Lakshman is creating for somebody worshipable. समझ रहे हो आप? That imaginary line encompasses the emission factor, which a company will be reporting on. आप समझ रहे हो इतना इंपॉर्टेंट वो लाइन है. Why and how? Why? Because of course you are not matching any of the 5 principles and your effort is useless. And if you are able to match those 5 principles by creating a proper line based on आपका powers or औकात in Hindi we say, yeah, otherwise cost and time, right? Both you can't afford. So इन दोनों को consider करके the moment you put a boundary, that boundary becomes a critical decision in the GHG inventory creation. And how you can do it? 2 ways. First is organization boundary setting. Second is operational boundary setting. Organization boundary setting has 2 ideal methods divided into 3. 2 ideal methods divided into 3. Left hand side, I am talking right now. Organization boundary, left hand side, dark blue color, if I am reading it correctly. First one is equity share approach. Second one is control approach. अगर कोई आपसे पूछेगा तो आपने 2 बताना है पहले. किसी को बताना नहीं पड़ता, but if you are writing in your report you have to write which method you have used for the organization boundary setting. So you will start writing a good write-up that organization and operation boundary both has been considered. When we looked into organization boundary for my company, I have considered equity approach. Always remember, again, trick of the trade I am giving you. Very few people will be able to even highlight this, is that you can only take one approach. This is another mistake I have seen done by several newbies in the town. वो क्या करते हैं? Based on their comfort, they will select and choose. Disaster. GHG protocol recommend ही नहीं करता है. GHG protocol बोलता है consistency and completeness. Exclusion should be made very clear. In principle number 1 and principle number, चलिए बताइए. Which 2 principle requires exclusion to be clearly identified? Principle number 1, which is principle number 1 या 2? 2, right?
2 and
Two.
4.
2 and 4.
2 and 4. Even numbers, okay? 2 and 4. दोनों जगह आपको exclusion डालना है. And if you are not following consistency, there is no other way. वहां पे exclusion मैंने आपको बताया क्या? You need to put exclusion. कंसिस्टेंसी में मैंने एक्सक्लूजन का डिस्कशन किया क्या? जब मैंने नहीं किया और आपके बुक में नहीं है, तो हाउ यू आर डूइंग दिस मिक्स एंड मिक्सर? या खिचड़ी नहीं पकाना है ना, आपको रिपोर्ट करना है क्रेडिबिलिटी, स्पेसिफिकली जीएचजी प्रोटोकॉल लेके. इन दैट केस सेलेक्ट वन मेथड, आइदर इक्विटी शेयर मेथड और अप्रोच, और ऑपरेशनल और फाइनेंशियल विच इज अ कंट्रोल मेथड, right? That is organization boundary setting. That is done. Equity share, very simple. I have 5 subsidiaries. Each of them I own 100%. I am responsible for 100% of emission of those company. If I own them, right? अब यहाँ पे देखिए कैसे स्मार्ट लोग प्ले करते हैं. Reliance Industry, I'm again taking their name. Of course, I have more examples to talk. Tesla is there today, which we'll be talking about their boundary. But I'm just highlighting Reliance because they are very near to us and one of the leader company in India. And you can check their sustainability report quickly. They have 270 companies where they own nearly 100%. Out of 295 subsidiaries, they own 100% is 270, right, Ravi? है ना? 265 or 270?
265.
265, 100%. And what they report on? How many of out of 265 they are reporting on?
Only on the one.
What about those 265 where they should tell that I have 100% equity ownership?
They are not reporting on that at all.
They are not using equity share approaches. It's as simple as that. So what they are doing? They are saying operational control method or financial control method. And equity share and financial control also is a different ball game. ठीक है, लोग बोलते हैं दोनों सेम ही है ना, फाइनेंशियल कंट्रोल और इक्विटी शेयर सेम ही है. फ्रेंचाइजी इज वेरी गुड एग्जांपल हियर इन द फाइनेंशियल कंट्रोल. डू यू ओन फ्रेंचाइजीज? No, right? Generally, franchising means that you have given it somebody to run your operation based on your system. Correct? Anybody has a confusion here? Because otherwise you will not understand the difference between equity and financial. कोई confusion है? Franchisee is the very good example of that scenario where equity approach will fail, financial control and operational control will succeed. Do I have operational control on that franchisee? Possible. Possible. Do I have a financial control? Yes, possible. I take a royalty. How many of you know franchisee pays a royalty? And they also pays for marketing, etc. Kailash, आपको तो मालूम होगा. You must be
Yes.
working,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So that is the game played here. Equity में उनका zero control है. But financial and operational control can be 5%, 10%, 50%. Right? Can a McDonald's franchisee sitting in Bangalore can prepare a different kind of burger than the Delhi one? Possible ही नहीं है. Process fix है. You have to follow 100% control. You can sell to a garib or a rich. That is your decision. How you are selling is your decision. Whom you are recruiting is your decision. Where you are taking all location also they decide. Domino's का pizza का center, can you decide where you want to have it? No, they will tell you which locality, which area, what kind of location, which frontage, how much of opening, how much of close, all that is decided by the owner. So financial control. Clear? Any doubt on organization boundary? Anyone?
Could you just explain that operational and financial once again?
Okay.
In detail.
Okay. No worries. I will repeat it again. ऑर्गेनाइजेशन बाउंड्री रिलायंस वाला स्टोरी सबको समझ में आया कि मैं ओन करता हूं 100%, देन आई हैव टू रिपोर्ट 100%, बट आई एम नॉट डूइंग इट. सो एम आई फॉलोइंग इक्विटी शेयर अप्रोच? डेफिनेटली. So which approach I will be using? Either financial control approach or operational control approach. Now, even though these guys must be dictating their subsidiary, but in the report they are saying no, and that's why I'm not reporting. And here they have a scope to say no. I don't have operational control on my subsidiary, which is sitting in Bangalore. Are you with me? For example, I'm just giving you an example that I am reporting. Definitely, I'm not using equity share. Why? Because I'm not considering equity investment in all the companies which I own, which I have as a subsidiary. कोई अगर किसी के पास है फाइनेंशियल रिपोर्ट, रवि आपके पास तो होगा ही, we have shared with you. Reliance का, post it in the group. So anybody who wants to check, they can quickly go to page number 5 or 6. It is already listed. All 265 company they list, and next to it they will write not considered. That will give you confidence कि इक्विटी शेयर तो कर ही नहीं सकते हो. तो कर क्या रहे हैं? ऑपरेशनल कंट्रोल और फाइनेंशियल कंट्रोल. उसमें भी उन्होंने रिपोर्ट नहीं किया है, तो एक्सक्यूज दे माइट बी गिविंग दैट आई डू नॉट कंट्रोल देयर ऑपरेशन और देयर फाइनेंसेस. They make profit, give me dividend 100%. They send it to me, to आका. मुकेश को बड़ा भाई बोलते हैं ना, बड़ा भाई, मोटा भाई, मोटा भाई. मोटा भाई को सारा डिविडेंड आ जाता है, मोटा भाई इज हैप्पी, राइट? सो ऑपरेशनल कंट्रोल में ये एक्सक्यूज दिया जा सकता है, बट इक्विटी में नहीं दिया जा सकता है. एंड यू हैव टू चूज ओनली मेथड, सो दे आर यूजिंग ऑपरेशनल कंट्रोल और फाइनेंशियल कंट्रोल मेथड. However, everybody knows on earth that how मोटा भाई works, right? सैलरी 5 रुपए किसी को एक्स्ट्रा दी जा सकती है. जो सैलरी फिक्स है हाजिरा प्लांट में, वही मिलेगा पांचों प्लांट पे. किसी को 1 रुपया एक्स्ट्रा नहीं मिल सकता है. नो कंट्रोल दे कैन हैव ऑन द फाइनेंस, दे कांट हैव ऑन HR, राइट? दे आर वेरी क्लोजली निट कंपनी, दे ट्रीट देयर एम्प्लॉइज ए फैमिली. रिपोर्ट में हमने पढ़ा ना, हमने तो पढ़ा कि दे राइट दैट ऑल एम्प्लॉइज देयर फैमिली मेंबर. शादी के दिन अगर बेटा आनंद की शादी होगी, आई एम स्पीकिंग इन हिंदी जस्ट टू मेक इट लिटिल लाइटर, तो सबको बुला के मिठाई खिलाऊंगा, राइट? दैट इज व्हाट द फैमिली इज ऑल अबाउट. आफ्टर दैट यू फॉरगेट इट. So point here is that's why they are not reporting about other company. Are you clear on the operational and financial control? Control तो आप समझ गए ना. एग्जाम्पल फाइनेंशियल कंट्रोल के लिए मैंने दिया फ्रेंचाइजी का. फ्रेंचाइजी से आपको दो तरह की इनकम आती है. एक इनकम आती है रॉयल्टी. So if I have a financial control, that's how I'm getting the royalty. I want to check their books कि भैया कितने का revenue किया, so I get my share out of it. So I have a financial control. If that is the case, then that company I'm 100% owning. Why? Because I am looking into their books and making sure that they are growing. Otherwise, my franchise income goes to zero. ऐसे ही बंद हो गया ना Aptech Computers. You remember Aptech Computers and
Yeah.
there was one more.
NIIT.
NIIT, right? Aptech पूरे बंद हो गए. Well, somehow at the point of Satyam only they failed. I don't know what happened to them, but at the time of Satyam they failed. So sometime franchisee could be a lethal business model as well.
So if you're taking the franchisee में जो royalty मिलता है, that may be just part of the revenue. So that is still considered 100% control.
हाँ ना, अगर उसका बिजनेस ग्रो नहीं करेगा तो आपको 10% मिलेगा.
Okay.
अगर वो बिजनेस ही नहीं करेगा तो आपको 10% तो जीरो हो गया ना. You are controlling eventually, right? Now again you can decide, like Motha Bhai decided that I don't have a control. मुझे डिविडेंड ही दे दो. I don't care about your top line. I care about operational control, which is I have or I don't have, but I am interested in my dividends. This is how the organization boundary works. When we talk about the operational boundary, I divide the process into three parts. This is that three part. What is that three part? That center GHG emission, scope 1 emission. Which are those emission which I am emitting? Right? The scope emission, 1 emission are those emission which my factory is emitting or my office is emitting. Right? All these three are scope 1 emission if I am controlling or owning them. आपको मालूम ही है, सेंटर वाला स्टेशनरी कंबशन, राइट वाला स्टेशनरी कंबशन. बिकॉज इलेक्ट्रिसिटी मैं यूज कर रहा हूं, तो जब यूज कर रहा हूं और जिससे जो इमिशन हो रहा है, बल्ब से जो इमिशन हो रहा है, दैट इज माय स्कोप 1. बट इलेक्ट्रिसिटी कंजम्पशन विल गो टू स्कोप 2, राइट हैंड साइड में आएगा. एंड देन इफ समबडी इज ट्रैवलिंग बाय फ्लाइट to go and find new business in America, which kind of emission is that? Scope 3 emission. Clear? This is how the operational boundary is set. Let's see an example of Tesla approach to setting organization and operation boundary. Now, Tesla
So
is
just one second. What will be the example for operational control?
that you have your CEO sitting there in their office is operational control.
Okay.
I do the CXOs, operational control.
Okay. Okay.
I make sure that you abide by all my regulation and requirements, operational control.
Okay.
So there is a thin line between operational and financial control, but you can decide which side you want to be and select that method. Now, if you look for Tesla, Tesla is a global leader, any doubt, specifically in the electric vehicle. Now they have been challenged by BYD, is a different discussion, but they are still a global leader in premium car, which are electric vehicle, as well as energy solution. They are also known for their batteries and charging units. High voltage, they have done fast. Now, BYD is claiming that in 5 minutes, you can charge it for 400 kilometers, right? So the problem of the charging is gone, especially with BYD. Yeah, with their charging, stations, which they are bringing. Massively, they are investing in China, and even outside, they are ready to invest if people allow them to spy. Yeah, or allow them to come and take your territory and give you the loan, etc. All that conditions. Otherwise, they are ready. They were selling very huge number of cars in Europe. Suddenly, European realized that, oh my God. So 2024 only they put a carbon accounting tax to them, carbon tax. They have already done that tax last year, even though informally, but they have done it on one industry, specifically the Chinese car. Okay, so now China is going and manufacturing there. Point here is Tesla remain the global leader, and they publishes their annual sustainability report to track and reduce their carbon emission, carbon footprint specifically. And they generate carbon credit, which we know through EPA and EU CTS scheme, and make even $600 million per year, per quarter. right? $1 billion in a year. Now, when they come to GHG calculation and setting up the boundary, Tesla defined both organization and operation boundary. And they ensure comprehensive and transparency reporting through this. They say their report is comprehensive. Comprehensive is a big word, always remember that they are doing everything possible. And to have a transparent report, they consider both sides of the boundary, setting the organization boundary as well as operation boundary. How they set the organization boundary is in the table number 1. Can you see table number 1, anybody? रीड कर सकते हैं आप मेरे लिए? थोड़ा चाय पी लेता हूं मैं. कैलाश करोगे आप?
Sure.
क्या?
Description of Tesla sites. Site type is manufacturing, and activities are manufacture Tesla products, including vehicles, superchargers, solar tiles, and energy storage products. Support manufacturing through the design and manufacture of equipment and tools used at manufacturing sites or by storing manufacturing materials, parts, or finished products. Site type sales, service, and delivery, SSD. Activities are sell products, provide vehicle service, store parts for vehicle service, and deliver vehicles. The third site type is other. Activities are conduct research and development, administration, energy product warehousing and deployment, and other mixed use warehousing.
Absolutely. That's the table number 1. So they have done organization boundary setting through considering this manufacturing, sales and service units, as well as other units which are research and development side as a part of their organization boundary. And this can be any geography. It doesn't matter only in US or Europe. Even though they are operating and having a research unit in India, that will be part of their boundary. In Bangalore, we have, right, Ravi? Next to your boss office only, they have taken a large space.
Yeah, correct.
Right? That office emission also they are considering and reporting as a organizational boundary. As you are aware, in India, you have to operate as a branch and pay huge taxes, etc. if you are not a local company. So that they are covering through creating, they don't mind doing it, but they are considering into their organization boundary. Now, organization boundary, which Tesla uses through operational control. They are not using what? Equity share. नहीं consider कर रहा हो. क्यों? क्योंकि इंडिया में might not be they are owning 100%. It's a branch only, right? The branch could be 100%, but I'm just saying that even though they can take equity share, they are not taking it. They are taking which method? Operational control method, where it becomes easier for them to classify into scope 1 and 2 GHG emission. Now, scope 1 emission, if you see in the GHG emission, the table number 2 actually specify that they say direct emission from their own and controlled facility. खुद का फैसिलिटी और जो कंट्रोल कर रहे हैं थ्रू ऑपरेशनल कंट्रोल वॉट एवर दे कैन कंट्रोल दोज फैसिलिटी स्पेसिफिकली द मैन्युफैक्चरिंग प्लांट्स. तो मतलब फॉक्सकॉन का अगर प्लांट एप्पल यूज कर रहा है एन ऑपरेशनल कंट्रोल मेथड यूज कर रहा है, टेल मी वेल दे कंसीडर द फॉक्सकॉन का इमिशन और नॉट. आई एम गिविंग अनदर एग्जांपल एंड आस्किंग अ क्वेश्चन. एप्पल designed in California, manufactured in China through Foxconn. I am using operational control, right? Will I be accounting Foxconn China emission or not in my books?
They have to include.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. That is what the trick of trade. Indirect emission, purchase electricity used by Foxconn will be also considered. Even the third party who are supplier to Foxconn, their emission also will be my emission. Why? Because I have used operational control method. And that is why, how many of you remember a fiasco in Foxconn on ESG ground? And even in India, forget about China. China में तो सुसी पॉटेज भी जाने पे बैन था, right? In India में, how many of you know the episode which has happened in not Chennai? I should not take Tamil Nadu. Let's say Tamil Nadu. Are you aware about Tamil Nadu episode of that Apple plant?
The strike, right?
Yeah. Why there was a strike? What was the reason? They were not allowing married women to work, or specifically pregnant women, to be specific. Of course, the controversy nobody knows because they claim that there is nothing later on. But there was a strike because they were purposefully deselecting and letting go the pregnant women or the women who were married. This fiasco, is Apple should be concerned or not? Yes. Why? Because they are applying operational control. They have a full control on that. I'm forgetting the very famous place. It is very famous place in Tamil Nadu. That plant, they have to report. That's why they came, everybody came from their PR agency and said, no, 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 there is no strike, there is no strike. Immediately they curtailed that whole news. Today, you might not be knowing even there was a big strike on this ground, right? Because they were supposed to report about it in the annual report if this could have gone out of hand. Are you seeing this? So organization boundary is a game of fire, not Game of Thrones. Game of fire. So be careful about it. Because all three emissions and even the social and governance part of these companies has to be reported. So it is little tricky. And here, very good example they have given, scope 1 emission they have given, 185,000 metric ton CO2, and which is direct GHG emission coming from the stationary combustion, mostly mobile combustion and process emission. So these are the three emission everybody reports. In scope 2, which is they are using is location-based method, and they are reporting 403,000 metric tons of CO2 equivalent. Now give me a reason. Kailash, first you give me a reason, then only I will take your question. Tell me why scope 2 is higher than the scope 1 in case of Tesla. They
probably need the energy on that. No? Like they require a lot of energy which they have to purchase. So that's why.
Correct.
I suppose.
You are there. Yeah. Not confident, but I want you to be confident.
Yeah.
That's the reason.
No, I'm actually thinking of the question which I have to ask me. So anyway. No, so I just want to know. So if you're doing operational control or even the financial control, then in that case, how does the company report for that company? Is it again like a separate entity or within their entity itself?
Consolidation is a business which is recommended by GHG protocol. थोड़ा time दे दो, आप सब सीख जाओगे. ये slide है उसके लिए, ठीक है? So don't worry, I am answering you. Point ये है कि in this case they are reporting high because they have an energy consumption for charging their battery. So they manufacture car where the emission remains very small. The battery operation, wherever they have a charging station, creates the emission which requires massive electricity, and that is purchase electricity, where they have to account into the scope 2. So a scope 2 in battery operated companies will be always higher than the scope 1. Forget about scope 3. Are you with me? So remember, when you see tomorrow, and this is very rare, by the way, this data is very rare. You will not find this data in any company, where scope 2 is much more higher than the scope 1 itself. Scope 3 हो सकता है, data center वालों का, like Microsoft we saw, like Apple will have, like क्योंकि Apple में भी end of the day, consumer is using, right? Consumer is charging their mobile. So scope 3 emission is they are doing. End of use consumer use is the category where I have to categorize, right? So scope 3 ज़्यादा होता है, scope 1 ज़्यादा होता है. In only case where you will find scope 2 is higher, where battery related companies we are talking about. Clear? Now organize.
So, in case of these battery related or EV chargers, if they know that the scope 2 will be higher, wouldn't it be easier for them to invest in renewable resources for their own use?
Correct. They have done that. Massive. They have done.
It's still high.
They have large solar power farms across USA.
Okay.
But it's still
It's
to buy charging station cannot be in one location, right? It has across the country. That is the problem of India. Right now, only Maruti has taken that hefty task of putting 25,000 charging stations along with HPCL and BPCL petrol pumps. They have already started that initiative.
Which one? Who started?
Maruti.
Maruti. Okay.
Company, they have taken that task, which they will put 25,000 charging station, because Tata is somehow is getting plateauing now, right? Tata electric vehicle was selling like hotcake, and suddenly it's dropped, right? And this is one of those reason of, by the way, Gensol or Blue Smart going rough, because one of the major problem with Blue Smart was they bought initially all Tata cars, and suddenly the efficiency went down of their battery. Okay, now coming back to the organization boundary. Of course, this case study, we will solve it. Okay, let me first cover what Kailash has asked. Otherwise, he will be keep thinking only on one question, that why consolidation is not been talked. So organization boundary or operational boundary, whichever boundary you are selecting, or you are selecting both, like in Tesla case, you will always think about consolidating the data, because there is a, by the way, in GHG accounting, there is a problem called double counting. Somebody was asking on day one itself, right? Double counting is a problem. Where from this problem comes? Problem comes when you are doing the individual data collection, specifically when you have scope 3 emission also, which is massive amount, there are chances that there will be double counting happening at supplier end, because you do not know where supplier 1 process ends and supplier 2 process starts, right? You are so concerned about who is sending you the material for battery pack. Battery pack is very good example here. Battery pack requires battery cell. If you will open a battery pack in a car or a bike, which is operated by battery, you will see literally cells are there. They are just added in series. Okay. And that's why sometime it used to blast. There is nothing else. It's a cells. Plus there will be a chip, which is called battery management system, BMS, on top of it, which connects efficiently, effectively with all the standard which is required right now in India, so that it doesn't burn up. All that is a process. Now you do not know where the cell manufacturer's work stops and where the BMC work starts, where the packing guy who is packing it only work starts. Because you are to getting only battery pack. You do not concern about who is manufacturing battery, who is buying gelatin, who is buying lithium ion, who is buying that carbon rod inside, etc. But there, the chances of carbon double counting is a possibility. And that is why consolidation approach on emission data becomes a critical part. Here, principle number 3 becomes your Bible. Why I'm saying that? Because it becomes consistency in that usage, which I told you even beginning as well, when we started talking about, becomes the key to success. If you are using one method, stick with that method and over a period of time. And if you are changing it, then make sure you change everything, including baseline. Are you with me? So you can select equity share method. You can select control method. Under control, you can take financial control or operational control, any of those methods, but you maintain the consistency in order to consolidate the activity data into that particular heading, whichever part of activity you are calculating. For example, you are doing packaging of your finished product. Packaging एक activity थोड़ी है, बहुत सारे activity related है. There is a wrappers which you have to purchase or manufacture. There are carton boxes which you have to process or manufacture. Packing by machine you have, if you are doing that, has to be seen, etc., etc. You consolidate those heading in a proper, consistent way so that there is no double counting happens. Okay. Does it make sense now? And there are only 2 main consolidation method which exist. One is either equity share wide or control. You cannot mix and match. Are you with me? Don't do this cardinal sin. If you have taken equity share method, stick with that. Be consistent with that. Don't even touch control. If you have taken control, stick with that. It can be financial control and operational control, or operational control. You can select both. But when you are selecting a method, select only one. For a consistent and accurate GHG inventory, one of these methods must be applied uniformly across all your operation, entire organization. That's why this becomes critical discussion. Now let's take a case study.
So
Case
just to
study I have
finish,
kept it. Yes, Kailash, tell me.
yeah, so say like a company like Reliance or any other company basically has one main major company and
Hmm.
4 other like 265 whatever subsidies or whatever, 100%.
Hmm.
So in that case, if I choose to report for all of them, so
Hmm.
in my main one, will it be separate ones or in the main one it will be under operational control and
ये
financial
आएगा ना,
control?
कंसोलिडेट करके आप एक ही हेड पे लेके आओगे ना.
Okay, so it will all, but then when I'm mentioning in the report, it will be mentioned under those company के नाम पे ना?
हाँ बिल्कुल नहीं, एक ही कंपनी के नाम पे, हर एक कंपनी के नाम
अच्छा.
पे कॉपी नहीं करोगे आप.
Okay, so just for calculating is separate and then when overall is together.
Absolutely, Reliance
Okay.
Industries Limited. Currently, that's why they are. That is one of the cause they are rated very badly by international agencies. Okay, why? Because Reliance Industry has to tell how much of emission he has done. If he controls 100% as equity, then we have to tell that these company emissions are so much, and I am adding into my top company, and that's why my emission is so huge. Nobody wants to do that, and that's why he's avoiding.
So
Yeah.
if I'm choosing one company under operational control, so that will be, I will do the entire calculation based on operational for that company.
Correct.
And the other company, if it's financial control, it will be only done only that.
Mix नहीं करो ना, दो ही method.
That's what I wanted to ask. Okay.
Yeah, that the only two methods are there. Take one method, either equity or control. Whichever method you selected is be stringent about it.
Across all
दोनों
companies.
से करना चाहते हो तो दोनों से करो. आपको चाहिए कि नहीं उसमें मैं केवल फाइनेंशियल कंट्रोल से करना चाहता हूँ तो फाइनेंस कंट्रोल से करो. इट्स योर चॉइस. नोबडी इज आस्किंग दैट दोनों मेथड आप यूज कर लो, बट आइडियली पीपल इनसाइड कंट्रोल दोनों मेथड यूज कर लेते हैं, because there is a very fine line there. That's what I have stated in beginning as well, Kailash, if you remember.
Okay.
Right? बहुत फाइन लाइन है, इसलिए दोनों ही यूज करते हैं. एंड और दोनों आप यूज कर सकते हो. फॉर एग्जाम्पल अभी आ गया क्वेश्चन, आप जवाब दो. M&A Experts, which is an international setup, okay, it's an international company, private limited company, has a emission happening through scope 1 and scope 2. So जितने ऑफिसेस हैं वहां पे इलेक्ट्रिसिटी की सप्लाई है, प्लस फायर हाइड्रेंट्स है, एयर कंडीशनर है, लैपटॉप है, which is consuming energy and emitting carbon dioxide. They have so M&A Exports Advisory has one international, which is M&A Exports International, and second is ESGPro Master Institute. There are two different entities under a group company called M&A Exports Advisory. M&A Exports Advisory has two companies. One is international one, where by equity I own 50%. As equity, I own 50%. But ESGPro Master Institute, I own 100% by equity. Again, by equity, M&A Experts Advisory own 50% of M&A Experts International and 100% of equity share of ESGPro Master Institute. अगर मैंने मान लो कि इमिशन स्कोप 1 and 2 का इमिशन M&A Experts ने 10,000 metric ton कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड इन ईयर 2024 किया है, 5,000 ESGPro Master Institute में किया है, what will be the total emission of M&A Experts Advisory as a group company? Tell me this question. By the way, M&A Experts Advisory is a dummy company, right? It's only having two operations. One is through the international operation. Second is through their training institute. International operation, of course, there will be international travel involved. That's why the number is large. Scope 1 and 2 is large, which is 10,000. And wo actual emission hai. Without that, I cannot deliver. But ESGPro Master Institute is based out of Bangalore. Mostly online काम हो रहा है, so the emission remains lower. I own 50% of international and 100% of ESGPro Master Institute. How much is my emission? Quick.
If we follow
10,000.
approach,
Equity.
then it's
Somnath
10,000
equity follow करेंगे.
10,000 metric tons.
Okay.
total.
Total emission is 10,000 according to which
Yeah.
method?
According to
method.
equity share method.
Okay, very good. If I take other method, which is control method, another condition come into play, which is on your screen. Full financial control I have on international, and even I have full financial control of ESGPro Master Institute. Now, how much I will report as emission?
15,000.
There which is 15,000.
Very good. And if I have no, yeah, correct. If I have no operational control on my ESG Exports International because my partners are operating, I cannot go and operate on their behalf. They call me as an employee there. I go and execute job, come back. And I have 100% full, not financial, operational control of ESGPro Mastery Assured. What will be the
5,000. 5,000. Only 5,000.
Absolutely correct. Now you see the variability based on which method gives you what result. And here people play the game. They will say, as a owner, Mothabhai will say, I want less of emission and bullshits. What their sycophants will do, which method they will give him in the platter? Tell me which method Mr. Mothabhai will like?
No operation
Third
control.
method.
Third method.
Third method.
मेरे को प्रमोशन मिलने वाला है अगले साल, right? मुझे भी मैरिज में बुलाएंगे वो लोग, right? So that is how the mistakes are being made. You have to be reasonable. He's wrong. Is he wrong? No. But Kailash, if their advisor, he will say, rather than doing either or, if I do and, उसमें allowed है ना, control में and allowed है. So he does and. What will be the answer now? And that is a trick question, so be careful answering.
15,000.
कैलाश आप ही बताओ यार, आप तो इतना पूछे क्वेश्चन.
15,000.
करेक्ट. हाईएस्ट एंड लगाने से यू विल ऑलवेज सेलेक्ट द हाईएस्ट. यू कैनॉट डू एवरेजिंग हियर. किसी के दिमाग में अगर चल रहा है निकाल दो. क्लियर? ये थिन लाइन को अगर आपको हटाना है देन यू विल टेक हाईएस्ट. मोटा भाई आपको फायर करेगा कि नहीं करेगा? कैलाश को दूसरे दिन बोलेगा भाई जाओ तुम.
सर मैं
तुम
तो खुद ही बोलूंगा मैं जा रहा हूँ. You are very unethical.
तुम इक्विटी मेथड लगा देते यार. ठीक है, तुम प्लाटर पे नहीं देना चाहते हो तो इक्विटी मेथड लगाते. तुमने हाईएस्ट लगा के मेरे को दे दिया. ये प्रॉब्लम हमेशा जीएचजी अकाउंटेंट फेस करता है लाइफ में. ओके, सो बी केयरफुल. इज दिस कंसेप्ट इज वेरी क्लियर टू एवरीवन?
Yes.
Any doubt anyone has at this point in time?
So far, no. I think when practically that might just,
Very
and the
good.
numbers are higher and more tougher.
Very nice. मोटा भाई को आप इम्प्रेस कर सकते हो. दूसरा आदमी कोई और?
Sir, motorbike से interest ही नहीं है sir. He is very unethical and I'm extremely ethical, so it'll always be a problem. मेरी जिंदगी में यही problem रहा है.
But he is preparing sustainability report. Let me go to others. Let's not waste time. I already have crossed my threshold.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, let's go to others. Anybody has any problem? Bala Vijay, have you understood clearly? Can you do this boundary setting at least? I have spent too much time today actually. This much time I never spent. Bala Vijay, आप कर सकोगे if somebody gives you this task? Anchika, can you do it? Is it so difficult? Means nobody's answering, so I'm worried. Is it difficult? इतना टाइम वेस्ट करने के बाद भी अगर डिफिकल्ट है तो आई एम वरीड. Means you need to go and watch the video once more. So anybody who is finding it difficult, please say that you will watch the video once more. Okay, people are responding in the that they have understood clearly in the chat box. But if you are feeling is uncomfortable, then watch the video. Because I have explained it quite deeply and with so many questions asked. Okay, Ravi says very clear. Okay, Nanchika said yes. Ravi said yes. Somnath.
Yes, that video is regarding Indian carbon market.
No, I'm saying that you watch this video once more if you could not understood that's.
No. I understand.
Okay. Okay. So Bala, if you are confused, or Shivani, if you are confused, Srivastava, if you are confused, just watch the video.
No, sir, I understood.
Perfect. Good. So let's move on then. We will go straight to selecting the consolidation approach. Okay. So Kailash was worried that we will not talk about consolidation. अरे कितना चाहिए उतना देता हूँ, कोई इशू नहीं है. What is
पता है सर, मिलेगा तभी तो यहीं पे हूँ.
Joking, you know that. What to consider when choosing consolidation approach? These are the 8 items which you will be considering. ठीक है? वो फाइन लाइन निकालने के लिए और मोटा भाई को बताने के लिए कि whatever decision I have made, I am not made by own whims and fancy. I am following GHG protocol. You will put this in the document. You will say, I have checked the commercial reality of my Reliance industry. We are not making any profit. That's why I have taken the lowest one. बोल सकते हो आप. You will say that influence over emission I don't have on this subsidiary company. That's why I'm not reporting. You can tell Mothavai that program and regulatory requirement doesn't ask me to do such kind of activity. Why I should do it? Liability will never come because I have already protected you and there is no risk management required on the subsidiary. That's why I have not taken subsidiary into consideration. You can always tell them that in financial accounting, I am not adding their dividend into my book. That's why I'm not considering them. ये सब नेगेटिव बोल रहा हूँ, sarcasm के साथ बोल रहा हूँ, so please accept that. Of course, they have written that. It's not that they have not considered. They are doing GHG protocol and they use GRI. ऐसा नहीं है कि उनको रेटिंग खराब मिल रहा है तो मैं उनको बहुत सार्काज्म बता रहा हूँ. They have already done all that. Okay, it's there in their report. The management information and performance tracking they do. That's why they can take 15,000 instead of 5,000. Administrative cost and data access. Do they have? Yes, they have put one system all across their subsidiary. Control is the major game in family business, right? So you want information live and real time. So you'll use MIS system, same all across, and then completeness of reporting, which is second principle, correct? They are doing, and that's why this is how you do the consolidation. Step number 2 is setting the reporting framework. Always remember that there are 2 things which you will consider whenever you will set the reporting framework. Whether you are using GHG protocol, you want to use ISO, you want to use PAS 2050 or anything else. There is a mixture of 3 things which will come into play and 2 things will remain constant. The 2 things are, first one, in setting the reporting framework is the timeline. Your timeline is a critical things to be reported on, which is that you have to determine that what is my reporting period. Have I collected data previous to the date when I am starting this exercise, right? So be careful. You will find several reports where they will write only 3 months of accounting they have done. They will write it very clearly, but you have to be conscious. Go watch that what is this reporting period on which they are calculating the GHG emissions. And that will decide which framework they should be taking in. Are you with me? Is it annually? Is it quarterly? This specific time frame for emission measurement has to be there, right? Then 3 points which they will be considering is following. Scope classification is critical to selecting reporting framework. If you want to use GHG protocol, all 3 you can collect data and you can report on to, right? But if you are using some stringent reporting framework like IFRS now is recommending that even though you are using GHG protocol, give me all 3, right? And if you are not accurately calculating your scope 3 because value chain you are unable to control, then you will not be justifying your IFRS reporting. So first is scope classification, that how much of classification I can do and reliably I can collect data. Second is measurement framework. What kind of measurement framework I am giving here? Does it aligns the measurement with the organizational objectives and the structure which I have in play or not? What do you mean by operational structure and reporting objective? Operational structure means am I using the operational control method, financial control method, or equity share method? That is the operational structure. Reporting objectives, whether I want to report all 3 fairly, or I want to report only 2 fairly, again fair, right? So that decision is the measurement framework. And of course, time framework I have already explained. And that's how you set the reporting framework. Here, IBM in the case is very good example. Why I'm taking IBM? Because they very clearly identify that they align their operation. And how many of you have read the corporate accounting book? Corporate accounting, GHG protocol. booklet which has been shared with you, how many have gone through it or at least skimmed it?
So I have schemed it.
Have you seen the IBM का वहां पे एक बॉक्स बना हुआ है जहां पे उन लोगों ने इसके बारे में डिस्कस किया?
So which document, sir?
This is the problem. आपको रिकॉर्डिंग सुनना चाहिए कल वाला, आपने सेम क्वेश्चन कल भी पूछा है.
No,
Which-
I'm not getting any of the documents. I even messaged Sandeep, but I didn't get a reply. Is there another group which I'm not there by mistake?
Who wants to do volunteer activity? शिवांगी और रवि, थोड़ा मार्क कर दीजिए ग्रुप में अगर वो डॉक्यूमेंट पड़ा है तो प्लीज हेल्प कैलाश. लेट्स सपोर्ट हिम.
Thank you.
I'll share it again in the group.
Please do that. Okay, so transparency, comparability, and example in action. This is listed in a box of corporate governance book. ठीक है. अब जिसने नहीं पढ़ा है उसको मैं कल की दे दूंगा. कुंजी मालूम है कितने लोग कुंजी पढ़ के एग्जाम दिए अपनी लाइफ में? कुंजी, डू यू नो कुंजी व्हाट इट मींस? फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, डू यू नो हेल्प बुक्स? एक सीबीएसई का बुक होता है और फिर एक एग्जाम के टाइम में लोग हेल्प बुक खरीदते थे.
Guide books types.
हाँ,
Guide book.
Guide books.
हाँ, गाइड बुक्स, या उसको कुंजी बोलते हैं हिंदी में. तो जिन्होंने नहीं पढ़ा है उसको करना पड़ेगा. Yeah, otherwise anyway we are very late in the process. It might exceed one day, right? So tomorrow I will tell you which section you need to read to get proficient with it. But this is one of those boxes. Try to read all the case boxes because they are very sharp and to the point. Okay, and this I'm taking from there only. So read that and you will be better off. That how they are doing emission management. Third one is, and which is critical activity, is identifying and collecting data. Identifying and collecting data starts with looking into your which framework you are talking about, what is the boundary you have, and how to calculate emission. It links all these 4 activity sitting in the center. Why I'm saying that? Because here you are going to list all the activity which will result in emissions. For example, fuel purchasing, energy purchase, transportation method used, specifically this photograph. Okay, so which gives you the clarity that there are 3 steps. Step number 1 is your factory, which is sitting in the center, which is direct emission, right? Then you have indirect emission coming from both sides. One side is scope 2, which is power plant. Another is maintenance services, which is different company offering you is indirect emission. So these all 3 are different activity which we need to calculate. Yeah. Emission source identification starts with IPCC guideline. Again, trick of trade. Note it down in your book. Step number 3 requires what? IPCC guidelines. Recently, they have published AR guidelines 6. Earlier, it was 4. So in your GHG protocol, it is mentioned 4. But now they have 6. And that's why Unilever had changed it. Right? And retrospectively, they changed the whole reporting as well. Which book will you refer for source identification? IPCC. ठीक है? IPCC का AR6 is the recent guideline which quantify the GHG emission in various sectors. Second is World Resource Institute. This is another mistake newbies are making. They are not going to WRI website, which is the authority of GHG protocol. Publishes every year new documents enabling the industry to report it properly, has not been referred. So agar source का new identification code आया है, you will find on WRI के website पे. Specifically resources on GHG inventory and emission sources is a different segment. Get accustomed with and keep on referring whenever you get time. Third, emission source identification you can even do with United Nations FCC data, because they do publish lot of reporting and tracking standard for emissions, particularly under Paris Agreement. They are authorized to do, and they do publish that. And if you are not doing any of these 3, then definitely you are a software guy like Kailas, right? You might be using ESGPro or Gabi. If you are using these two, automatically these guys have a linkage to all these three reporting mechanism, and they update the database, and you have the recent system for activity listed already. You just need to collect the data by looking into that classification. Yeah, this is the specific tool for calculating emission from different sources and processes. By the way, ESGPro and Gabi is also used for LCA calculation. So बहुत बड़े बड़े सेमिनार्स और वेबिनार्स होते हैं कि LCA पढ़ाता हूँ, वो कुछ नहीं पढ़ाते हैं, वो आपको ESGPro हाथ में पकड़ा देते हैं. करेक्ट. ESGPro एंड गाबी आप खुद से भी यूज कर सकते हो, एंड इट्स वेरी सिंपल टू यूज. दैट इज हाउ यू गेट द इमिशन सोर्सेस आइडेंटिफिकेशन. नाउ स्कोप 2 इमिशन का अगर कैलकुलेशन करना हो, डायरेक्ट समझ गए आप. इनडायरेक्ट भी सिमिलर सोर्सेस से आते हैं, राइट. इनडायरेक्ट में स्कोप 2 कैलकुलेशन इफ यू वांट टू डू, there are two methods which are available. Method number 1 is location based method. We will exceed our class by another 5-10 minutes. I think everybody is fine, right? Or are you feeling sleepy? Anybody who is feeling sleepy, he can go now.
No, sir. No, sir. It's fine.
Fine. Anybody who wants to go, let me know. I will not feel bad. Don't worry. Like one person has gone. I don't know who has gone. Who has gone, by the way? Who was there? Kailas is gone. Yeah. Right, Kailas to hai. Bala is also there. So
I will not miss this for anything in the world.
Shivangi,
I've been waiting for months for this, so I
know.
already missed half an hour because I was late, but otherwise nothing. I'm here
And
till the end.
prepare yourself in this period because you are asking very genuine questions. Yeah, I must commend you that you waited, but you didn't wait it for wasting time. Rather, you prepared yourself. Good job.
Thank you.
But who left? I don't know. Somebody has left the session. So Ravi is there, Shivangi is there, Ravish is there, Megha is there, Kailas.
I think Anshika left. I think. I don't see
Acha,
her.
Anshika left. Okay, good. Okay, so now there are two methods: location-based method for scope 2 calculation and market-based method. There are some benefits of both method, so you can select based on which benefits work in favor of you. The first benefit of location-based method is it reflects actual generation and distribution of information. If you do location-based, that's why people recommend you to use CEA data, recent one, right? Which is an Indian authority. It provides you location-based data. So अगर आप महाराष्ट्र में हैं तो महाराष्ट्र का कोल पावर से जनरेशन, ट्रांसमिशन में लॉसेस, everything they will account, and then they will give you a number called emission factor for your electricity if you are doing location based. But if you want to follow market based, उसका पहला advantage है, it better reflects the risk and opportunity associated with the supplier portfolio. Whoever is supplying you the electricity and you are using market based data, then you are only looking into their risk and opportunity rather than the actual calculation part. क्योंकि आप market based use कर रहे हो, right? आप कितना price चल रहा है, price पे decide कर रहे हो कि हमारा कितना emission हुआ. So if market based data is there, it is based on risk and opportunity associated with the supplier portfolio, because एक NTPC नहीं है वहां पे, अडानी भी है, right? महाराष्ट्र में अडानी भी दे रहा है, NTPC भी दे रहा है, टाटा भी दे रहा है, सब है ना वहां पे. Everybody is giving and in the same grid they are using. In that case, it is better to use risk and opportunity side than the actual one. Second advantage of location based is that it provides only means to reducing scope 2 emission via consumption reduction. लोकेशन बेस्ड में एक ही ऑप्शन है आपके पास रिडक्शन का, वो है कि आप लेस कंज्यूम करो ग्रिड नेटवर्क को. बट इफ यू आर यूजिंग मार्केट बेस्ड, देन इट विल हेल्प यू इफ यू आर परचेजिंग फ्रॉम डिफरेंट सोर्सेज. अगर आप पीपीए वाला अवेलेबल है आपके सिटी में, who can do PPA with you, or even though he has done independently, are ready to give you a supply, लेकिन वो 4 घंटे ही देगा, 6 घंटे ही देगा, 8 घंटे ही देगा. Rest of the time you have to take from the grid, the normal grid. In that case, market-based work like a charm. Are you with me? The disadvantage location-based carries is that it offers no incentive to reflect the green power purchase. अगर आपके पास ग्रीन पावर परचेज का अवेलेबिलिटी है, जो काफी लोकेलिटी में, स्पेसिफिकली चेन्नई में बहुत है, बहुत सारे आपको सोलर पावर फार्म मिल जाएंगे, वो आर रेडी टू डू अ टाई अप विथ यू एंड विल गिव यू द सप्लाई, राइट? in that case, location based will not work. Why? Because you are not going to get benefit of that particular supply chain. That will be only happening in market based. Because market based में you are buying from 3 different sources, right? And this also, and the market based का क्या harm है? It has a voluntary purchase may not be impact overall market emission. आप मार्केट इमिशन कर रहे हो बट वॉलेंट्री आप रिपोर्ट करोगे ना. अगर आपने सोलर पावर ले लिया, राइट, इंस्टेड ऑफ taking the energy consumption. अब फॉर एग्जाम्पल यू आर अ इंडियन टेस्ला, स्कोप 1 ऐसे भी आपका बहुत छोटा था. Scope 1 was 180,000 metric ton, right? And scope 2 energy purchase was 4,000. Now, if you are doing, if you are purchasing from location based, then only way you can optimize your scenario is reducing your 400,000 metric ton to 200,000. But if I am doing market purchase based and I am also taking PPA based agreement, then I will have advantage in my credits. You remember they are selling, Tesla is selling credits, carbon credit. Are they not? Here, voluntary purchases help them. Why? Because their energy is happening through the network, and whatever extra credit they are getting, they will be able to sell it in voluntary market. And here, key consideration, either of these two you are selecting will remain. If you are selecting location based, the key consideration is average emission intensity. Intensity is always divided by revenue. Remember this, another trick of trade, write in your notebook, please. Okay. क्या कंसिडर आप करोगे? आप कंसिडर करोगे कि मैंने 400,000 मेट्रिक टन ऑफ कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड इमिशन किया, डिवाइड बाय रेवेन्यू, कितना रेवेन्यू मैंने बनाया. Once I do that ratio and see where I stand, that time I will be selecting location based. If I am reflecting emission from specific electricity choices, because I am a person who has taken a cognizance that in my area there is a solar power, wind power is also available for me, that becomes my key argument for going for market based. Because first availability है, दूसरा मैं conscious हूं. इन दोनों का अगर मेरे को डिसीजन लेना है तो मार्केट बेस्ड करूंगा. इफ I am considering my intensity is the only game, कि how much of carbon dioxide I am emitting through energy purchase or from the fossil fuel or from the grid divided by revenue, then in that consideration I will be doing location based discussion. Clear? And this is how anybody decides on the emission source calculation. Scope 2 specifically. Scope 3 we will start tomorrow. Let's see the
one sec, the market base is basically carbon market. Does that mean it's the same or just market?
Just market. This is electricity market, not carbon market. Market
Okay,
based
okay.
electricity का purchase. Scope 2 की बात हो रही है.
Okay.
Now step 4 is calculate the emission. Calculate the emission has 2 process. First, collect the activity data. कैसे करोगे collect? Following headings पे आप calculation करोगे. What are those headings? Heading number 1 in scope 1 will be always stationary combustion. How many have you checked the template? शिवांगी आपने देखा है, right? You were saying in the beginning. Template आपने देखा है, correct?
Yes, sir.
आप देखोगे टेम्पलेट में पहला टेबल होगा स्टेशनरी कंबस्शन, है कि नहीं है? अगर देखोगे तो आपको पहला मिलेगा स्टेशनरी कंबस्शन.
Yes, sir. Yes, yes.
रवि, यू हैव आल्सो सीन. उसमें आप क्या क्या आइटम डालोगे, विच ऑल एक्टिविटी यू विल पुट विल बी एक्टिविटी लाइक बॉयलर का कितना इमिशन हो रहा है, या वहां पे कितना फ्यूल कंज्यूम हो रहा है, डीजल जनरेटर में कितना फ्यूल कंज्यूम हो रहा है, या कितना इमिशन हो रहा है, हीटर्स जो लगे हुए हैं बॉयलर के पास उसमें कितना फ्यूल कंजम्पशन हो रहा है. ये सारा स्टेशनरी कंबस्शन में आएगा. और ये बेसिकली सोर्स इसके होंगे कोल, नेचुरल गैस, डीजल, पेट्रोल एंड फर्नेस ऑयल. आइदर ये लाइन आइटम में अपने ईआरपी से निकालूंगा या इसका टोटल वाउचर निकालूंगा. आर यू विथ मी? एक्टिविटी डेटा सिंपल है ना?
Yes.
फ्यूल बिल्स निकालूंगा, फ्यूल स्पेंड डेटा निकालूंगा, या फ्यूल मीटर गेज का डेटा निकालूंगा. यही 3 डेटा आता है और कोई डेटा नहीं आता है. मोबाइल कंबस्शन होगा, फॉर्कलिफ्ट का डेटा मेरे को चाहिए, कार का डेटा चाहिए, ट्रक का डेटा चाहिए, बस का डेटा चाहिए. क्या एक्चुअल सोर्स होगा वहां पे कार्बन इमिशन का? सीएनजी, डीजल, पेट्रोल एंड एलपीजी। चाहिए क्या मुझे? फ्यूल बिल्स, सीएनजी का बिल, फ्यूल स्पेंड डेटा और फ्यूल का मीटर। मेरे को कोई बता दे बिगिनिंग में क्या था फ्यूल मीटर, लास्ट में क्या था? आई हैव द इमिशन डेटा। फ्यूजिटिव इमिशन के लिए चिलर्स, हैवक सिस्टम एंड फायर एक्सटिंग्विशर, CO2, HFC एंड PFC, दीज आर द इमिशन सोर्सेस। कहाँ से डेटा मिलेगा? मेंटेनेंस के बिल से मिल जाएगा, कितनी बार उसने सिलेंडर चेंज कराया है, कितनी बार एसी में गैस डलवाया, रिफिल रिकॉर्ड्स और इक्विपमेंट कैपेसिटी। प्रोसेस इमिशन सिंपल है, सीमेंट अगर फैक्ट्री है, सीमेंट कैल्सिलेशन का डेटा मुझे चाहिए, कितना उसमें पावर लगा, वेल्डिंग में कितना वेल्ड आयरन उसके रड्स कितने स्पेंड हुए, केमिकल रिएक्शन का आउट परफॉर्मेंस कितना हुआ, मतलब आउटगो कितना हुआ। क्या डेटा क्या होगा? कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड, मीथेन एंड N2O। प्रोडक्शन डेटा मुझे चाहिए होगा कि कितना प्रोसेस हुआ है वो केमिकल, अगर पेंट मैन्युफैक्चरिंग कंपनी है तो केमिकल ही है ना। रिफिल रिकॉर्ड्स अगेन, यहाँ पे मैं फ्यूल बिल्स अगेन मांगूंगा, स्पेंड डेटा मांगूंगा और प्रोसेस मीटर मांगूंगा। इनडायरेक्ट इमिशन विच इज स्कोप 2, अभी डिस्कस किया हम लोगों ने, इलेक्ट्रिसिटी यूसेस और डिस्ट्रिक्ट हीटिंग और कूलिंग सिस्टम आई विल रिलाई ऑन। डेटा क्या है? CO2 है फ्रॉम द परचेज इलेक्ट्रिसिटी, कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड इमिशन है। कहाँ से मिलेगा? इलेक्ट्रिसिटी बिल से मिलेगा, स्पेंड डेटा से मिलेगा, मीटर रीडिंग से मिलेगा। दिस इज हाउ डेटा गेट्स कलेक्टेड। वेस्ट का भी मैनेजमेंट का इमिशन हम लोग कैलकुलेट सेम वे से करते हैं, राइट। ऑन साइट इंसिनरेशन और लैंडफिल का डेटा मुझे चाहिए होगा कि अगर मैं ऑन साइट कुछ कर रहा हूँ, फैक्ट्री के प्रीमाइस के अंदर ही मेरे पास इंसिनरेशन सिस्टम है जहां मैं बर्न कर रहा हूँ वेस्टेज को, दैट डेटा विल कम टू मी। हाउ आई विल गेट दैट डेटा? वेस्ट रिकॉर्ड से मिल जाएगा कि कितना मैंने लैंडफिल में डाल दिया था, कितना बर्न कर दिया था। इंसिनरेशन और लैंडफिल डेटा, ये दोनों डेटा जाता है टाइप ऑफ ऑन साइट। सेकेंड इज वाटर हीटिंग इमिशन, ये भी वेस्ट हो रहा है ना, हीट कर रहा हूं वाटर को किसी और पर्पस के लिए, तो हॉट बॉयलर पे जो मीटर गेज है उसका डेटा का रिपोर्ट चाहिए मुझे। एग्रीकल्चर इमिशन अगर है, मेरे यहाँ फार्म है मेरे फैक्ट्री प्रीमाइस में, या मैं लाइव स्टॉक का बिजनेस करता हूं, तो मुझे कौन सा डेटा वेस्ट मिलेगा? वेस्ट डेटा में मुझे लाइव स्टॉक एंड सॉइल मैनेजमेंट का डेटा है जो वेस्ट मिलेगा, जो भी उसका एक्सक्रेशन है लाइव स्टॉक का या डेथ हो रहा है। व्हाट डेटा एग्जैक्टली आई एम टॉकिंग हियर? मीथेन का डेटा, उसने यू नो देयर इज लाइव स्टॉक इज रिलीजिंग मीथेन गैस, दैट डेटा। नाइट्रोजन का डेटा, लीचिंग का डेटा, ऑल दैट डेटा आई विल बी कलेक्टिंग। नाइट्रोजन का, फर्टिलाइजर का डेटा, कितना फर्टिलाइजर परचेज हुआ था, कितना लास्ट में बचा है, डिफरेंस इज माई इमिशन, राइट। दीज आर द एक्टिविटी डेटा। Once I have the activity data, process you know in the awareness session itself. कुछ नहीं करना है, मल्टीप्लाई करना है एक्टिविटी डेटा वर्सेस इमिशन फैक्टर का डेटा। तीन चीज का आपको हमेशा ध्यान रखना होगा। यूनिट्स इमिशन के डेटा पे, पहला, वी हैव लर्न दैट, राइट, देयर इज नो डाउट ऑन दैट, देयर शुड नॉट बी एनी डाउट। व्हाट वी आर लुकिंग फॉर, केजीज में है, किलोवाट आवर में है, लीटर्स में है, क्या यूनिट है, दैट यूनिट इज वेरी मच इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर यू। सेकेंड is which reference document I am using. Is this reference document is applicable to my industry? And if you have any confusion, you have to refer 7 industry. Beginning of the lecture, we have clarified that there are 7 industry documents available with GHG. उसको रेफर कर लो if you are confused. और उसके अलावा चाहिए तो सेक्टर का क्लासिफिकेशन देखना चाहिए। These are the trick of the trade for collecting the emission factor correctly. ठीक है। थर्ड वन विच ट्रिक ऑफ द ट्रेड है अपार्ट फ्रॉम दिस मल्टीप्लीकेशन इज दैट यू हैव टू रियलाइज डेटा इज रियल टाइम इज ऑलवेज प्रेफरेबल। रियल टाइम डेटा पे यू शुड ऑलवेज रिलाई रादर देन ए स्टेल डेटा, and if required then you should do some kind of adjustment of previous data. What data you are seeing today is important than what data you have collected a month ago. Okay, so always give a preference to the freshness of data than the stale data. Clear? These are the trick of trade. Once you have that, fourth step is finished. How to decide emission factor? Once you have collected the emission factor, there are different approaches for reporting, which we are going to learn tomorrow as well when we will be doing scope 3. There are 3 tiers of data you will always have in your life. Based on these tiers, your accuracy will be defined. If I am the credit rating guy, I will be looking into this particular source. क्या source है आपका emission factor का? 3 layer है, which layer you have selected will decide how accurate you are. And again, here you have a benefit of fairness. Based on availability of the emission factor, you can select and mix and match. Mix and match is allowed here because you are disclosing which data you are using. For example, if you are using tier 1 data, which is basically default factor based on broad or generic data, for a company like IPCC has developed it. So they have developed all across world data they have collected and created a system, which is IPCC emission factor guide. That's the data, emission factor data. If you are using that, it is called tier 1. It's the farthest most from the accuracy. Yes, of course, you have no other source, so you are using IPCC. Then comes the tier 2 data, which is more specific factor based on the regional and sectoral data, which basically applies to the regional data. आपने सुना होगा कि आपके सिटी में कम्यूट के लिए कितना डिस्टेंस एक आदमी ट्रैवल करता है, उसका एवरेज आपकी सिटी करती है. एंड अकॉर्डिंग टू दैट दे डू द अर्बन प्लानिंग, राइट? कि जनरली लोग बैंगलोर में कैंपेगौड़ा जाते हैं काम करने के लिए, राइट? रहते हैं वो होसूर में. आई एम जस्ट गिविंग एग्जांपल. बॉम्बे में आप समझ लो थाने में सारे कोई रहता है और काम करने के लिए जाता है सीएसटी. अगर आप पुणे में हो तो सदाशिवपेट में लोग काम करते हैं और रहते हैं कोथरूड. अब तो कथरीड भी बहुत नजदीक हो गया, हिंजेवाड़ी. या हिंजेवाड़ी में काम करने जाते हैं और रहते हैं चांदनी चौक. आप दिल्ली में हो तो similar examples. Now I need not to explain. So that's the nearness. The second tier is that data which is immediately after global data. In case of India, specifically for scope 2, Central Electricity Authority data is assumed to be tier 2 data.
So does CEA also provide data for other stuff and not only electricity or
Electricity में ही they are accurate.
okay, बाकी का नहीं?
So by the way, Somnath says कि aluminium के लिए, and for me that was a very good point actually. CEEW has produced data. Do they also produce data for scope 1, Somnath? Sorry.
Yeah.
They do, huh?
They do.
Oh, wow. So now you have a source, Kailash, additional source. Instead of CEA, use CEEW, and they are very good. They are always coming up with a lot of jobs as well. Okay.
Yeah, I have tried already, but then they always want experience.
Very good. Very good. So CEEW, next time you should be referring to. Okay. Because they are highly specific factor derived from direct management. And here Somnath was telling that CEEW has done a tie-up with Aluminium Association of India, and they have developed for aluminium industry data. And that is why it is company or industry specific measurement data, and that's called tier 3 data. So higher the number, better it is in tier. Yeah. So next time you know which data you are referring to. And the last step
so now they also have other stuff also, not just aluminium.
Absolutely. Then comes which other step, by the way?
No, the other only aluminium or even other.
He said no,
emission factor.
everything is there. Everything is there.
Okay.
Every data they are producing now.
Okay.
So the report and verifies the last step, which people generally ignore, but this brings the credibility to the whole process. What I wanted to do today is this particular game, but given that a lot of people have left already, or can we do another 10-15 minutes of quick revision through quiz? And this quiz is working. So you can immediately scan, log in, and we can start answering. Revise kar lete hain. So tomorrow when I will start that how to use GHG accounting in mitigation strategy and scope 3 strategies. Right? Scope 3 ka 40 different methods of calculation we will cover tomorrow. If you allow me to cover today quizzes. Otherwise, tomorrow we will start with quiz and then we will go into. Okay, somebody is already logged in. Shivangi wants to do it. What about others? कम से कम 5 आदमी करने चाहिए तभी हम करेंगे.
I'm trying to log in, sir. Give me a minute.
3
Yes, I will do.
Okay, 4 people. Give me 10 minutes. That's it. Apologies, but I can't help it. If there are question answer, it will take time. Log in. Let's do this. So you will not forget the concept which we have learned today. If you will log in, because we will cover what is scope 1, what is scope 2, what is scope 3 even. 3 people. 4. The moment 5 people come in, I will start immediately. Because I have told 5 people, so the 5th person is not coming. Let me not go, the exam will not happen. And here Kailash theory will not work. Double kar leta hu, sir. Will that count? Will not work.
Sir, was there a number, sir? Kar lete hain.
Okay, let's do it. Okay. See, 5th person came in, so we can definitely do. Okay. First question. Which of the following emission source would be classified as scope 1? Quick answer. Do it fast now. Yeah. Let's not waste time. Quick. ऐसे 15 सेकंड है तो आप क्विक नहीं करोगे तो ऐसे भी आपका जाएगा.
B.
बोल के फायदा नहीं है ना. सोमनाथ आप बोल दोगे तो सब वही आंसर कर देंगे. Let them learn from mistake. Okay, absolutely. Everybody give the correct answer. Good job. Next one. Emission from the calcination process in cement plant are categorized under, and I have done that just now. So try to recall our discussion. Emission from calcination process in cement plant will be categorized under
C.
Okay.
C.
Okay. Very good. Next question. A company operating in fleet of forklift within its warehouse would account for fuel consumed by these vehicle under forklift. किसके अंडर आएगा? हमने वो डिस्कस किया है क्लियरली. फॉर्कलिफ्ट का डेटा.
मोबाइल कम्बशन.
अब बोलिए नहीं सोमनाथ, आप बोल दोगे तो सब वही आंसर करेंगे.
क्योंकि मेरा वो काम नहीं करता.
आप क्लिक करो ना, आप क्लिक करो वहां पे, आंसर डालो वहां पे. ठीक है, नहीं तो फिर पता नहीं चलेगा ना कि मैं कहाँ रॉन्ग हो रहा हूँ. सो आई विल नॉट रीड और वॉच दैट पार्ट. डूइंग इट फॉर
sorry.
यू कैन
Very
रिवाइज.
sorry.
Next question. Leak of refrigerant, yeah, or expiry of your hydrant from a company HVAC system or fire hydrant system would be classified as. Quick. Answer करिए. Everybody who is logged in, if they will answer, we will go fast. वो close हो जाता है vote immediately.
नहीं, ये हो मेरा स्लाइडो काम नहीं कर रहा है.
आपका स्लाइडो क्यों नहीं काम कर रहा? आप दूसरे आप
मालूम नहीं.
करो
ये
ना.
तो फ्यूचर गिव.
Yeah, correct. It is future. मोबाइल से लॉग इन कर लो, स्कैन कर लो आप QR कोड. Next one. Next question. Emission associated with company purchasing steam for its industrial process fall under. Emission associated with company purchasing steam for its industrial process fall under. Okay, clear cut. Everybody got it correct. Very good. Which of the following is an example of a scope 2 indirect emission? Indirect emission, which one is that? ये तो मतलब मिस्टेक होना ही नहीं चाहिए. मैंने सबको फॉर्मूला दिया हुआ है. Owned, scope 1. You know, 2 thing is scope 2, and 1 thing, of course, is scope 3. Quick. Okay, correct answer. Everyone, very good. Impressed. Next question. Emission from backup diesel generator, not the main DG. Backup diesel generator located at manufacturing plant will be classified as well. Trick question hai. Careful. quick. Okay, correct answer. Everyone, good job. Company that purchases chilled water from a district cooling system to cool its office building would account for the associated emission under. Which emission they will be accounting for? If they are using purchased chilled water for district cooling. Cooling, yeah? दो वर्ड जिसको याद होंगे वो कभी ये गलत नहीं कर सकता. क्या थे दो वर्ड? अब बोलिए आप लोग. वो दो वर्ड कौन से थे?
Purchase and cooling.
Purchase and cooling. Very good. See, everybody got it correct. Next question. Emission from the tailpipe of a car leased, okay, and operated by company employee for business travel, not for coming to office even. For business travel, it's typically categorized as leased है, business travel है, दोनों स्कोप 3 है, दोनों स्कोप 3 है. रिमेंबर, कार लीज्ड हो गया, हमारा ओनरशिप गया. ओन नहीं है तो स्कोप 3 हो गया. और एम्प्लॉय बिजनेस ट्रैवल कर रहा है तो स्कोप 3 हो गया. या सो करेक्ट आंसर इज द फर्स्ट वन. हियर यू गाइस हैव मेड अ मिस्टेक. नो प्रॉब्लम, इट्स अ स्कोप 3 डिस्कशन. Okay, so last question lete hain, and then we will start tomorrow with questions as well when we will start. So read, watch, and come. Which of the following activity would not result in scope 1 emission? Which of the following activity would not result in scope 1 emission? Which activity? Very good, everyone. Congratulations for getting most of the question accurate. Okay, एक अब scope 3 आज छोड़ देते हैं, कल करते हैं. Scope 3 we will do it tomorrow. We'll start with the quiz and then we will go into a scope 3, finish that off. We'll also learn mitigation strategy tomorrow. You need to read or at least skim through Apple, but day after tomorrow you will be using that. So ideally you should do one go. Read the Apple ka white paper. I will try to send it right away. Okay. See you guys. Take care. Bye-bye. I hope it helped and you learned something new today. How many of you think you learned something new today? Quick before going.
Always.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Because I very much appreciate the tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 calculations.
Wow.
That
Tomorrow you will be seeing a real-time use in scope 3 because scope 3 is all about these three data and selecting the most accurate one. Tomorrow you will also receive a ready reckoner for scope 3 calculation. Ready reckoner. वो handy हो जाएगा आपको कि recommended method मैं आपको उसमें डाल के दे दूंगा. Out of 3, which one is the best method to calculate it? It will go like a piece of cake. That material is invaluable. Tomorrow you will have it. Today I am sending Apple's
White paper.
white paper. Yes. Megha, how was the learning? Kailash, you said good. Ravish आज नहीं बोले ज्यादा.
Learning was good. However, I could join late. I came very late from college today. So I have to redo this initial 30 minutes.
Okay.
And yesterday's some part I missed. So I have to watch both of them.
Yes, when will we get the video links?
You are not the person even in car you can or in your commute you can start your mobile, right? You're not that kind of person.
I did it once. So I
you
was
can do
about to
that,
meet
right?
an accident because I started paying attention to the slide.
क्योंकि live
So
का
after
अलग
that, I stopped.
नहीं बट लाइव का एक अलग इम्पैक्ट है. डोंट मिस दैट. दैट्स व्हाई आई रिकमेंड.
हाँ.
तो आप नहीं बोल सकते हो लाइक अंशिका सी इज इन ऑफिस, ही कांट कम आउट. So I tell her that at least get connected. So when you will
Right.
watch the video, you can relate and find it a little more interesting than just watching the video. Bala, how was it today? Bala Vijay, sorry. Okay. Somnath तो बोलिए.
The
So
session
video
was
का
very
link-
informative.
Sorry.
Thank you. Okay. बोलिए क्या बोल रहे थे कैलाश?
नहीं, वीडियो के लिंक्स कब आएंगे?
कल वो उसमें टाइम लगता है, राइट? इट हैज टू
Okay.
गेट अपलोडेड एंड देन somebody
Yeah.
take the link and share. Tomorrow morning आ जाती है, but today you will get the Apple. Okay, read that. Okay guys, take care. See you. Bye bye. Good night. Already I have taken too much time. I don't want to waste your family time. Bye bye.
Good night.
good night.
Good night.
Good night. Bye, sir.
Bye.
Bye Shivani. Bye.